Hey guys. Oh, my mic's wasn't there. It'd be hard to hear me without a mic. Now, okay, now what the hell was that? Hopefully it doesn't have any buffer issues like it has the past couple of streams. Usually, I don't know, 8 or a couple hours in, it usually does something. And that time was kind of weird. It like went back a little bit. That was kind of odd. But hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I just have a bunch of different stories once again. And one of the first ones that I got is Silence is Violence. And it's some black group in Winnipeg here that got started after the Charlottesville thing. And they're just going to talk about white supremacy and how it's like a big deal in Winnipeg. And it always baffles me when I see that type of shit in Canada, because I'm like, you people, you don't live in America. They watch, or they go on Twitter, they follow Sean King and all these other people, and then they think that what's going on in America, which is also a bunch of bullshit lies, is also going on in Canada. And there's don't think that because we're so polite here that there's no racism in Canada. Oh, there's tons of it. Guys, I'm oppressed just like you guys and everybody else. We're oppressed too, guys. We're oppressed. That's all it really is. But let me check the chat here. Hey, Jesus. Hey, Roxy. Hey, Paul. How's it going, man? Yeah, there's nothing people can do about the buffering. Yeah, I don't know what that is, Hey, Happy Fox, and hey, hello, hey. Faye, not hey. Cap, nobody. I'm polite. Not. Yeah, be polite. If you're not polite, you get banned from my channel. You get banned if you're not a polite Canadian. Got some Pepsi. I don't have my what's that water jug that you guys call that I drink out of? The mason jar. Yeah, I don't have that today. Maybe another time, but yeah. There was what's the story? The title of the story is Silence is Violence. Winnipeg group host community conversion conversation on white supremacy. So this discussion is very important, says Black Space Winnipeg president Adeline Bird. Around 200 people met at the University of Winnipeg on Wednesday to talk about race and white supremacy. It's like, it's so crazy. Like, what white supremacy is really going on in Canada? All I see is my money being stolen from me and given to foreigners. So whatever white supremacy this is, it's not working out very well for me. I'm not getting the benefit of this white supremacy. I don't see a lot of white bums getting to stay in hotel rooms like a lot of the refugees get to stay in that have pools and maid service and all this other crap. I see a lot of those ones sleeping and freezing outside in the streets. So this white supremacy bullshit. It's just more cultural Marxist rhetoric to try to get to pit groups against one another, to make them believe that they are oppressed in Canada and that they need to stand up and fight against white supremacy. And white supremacy just means capitalism and individualism. That's what it really means to these people, because when you really ask them what are you talking about, they're like, oh, like private property and capitalism and this all this crap. And you're like, okay, so you're just a socialist. Just tell me you're a socialist instead of saying all this white supremacy bullshit. Just tell me you want to tax rich people 80-90%. And you want to throw a bunch of people in the gulags. Just tell me that, then I'll be like, oh, okay. But damn, corn wave was half speed yesterday. Canada equals communism. Well, we are definitely headed in that direction, in my opinion. That's more and more we're getting more and more authoritarian. More and more our markets are more and more regulated. And, like the dairy cartel essentially came from Russia, so but Trudeau even said he likes the dictatorship of China and how they do things. So there are a lot of communist sympathizers in the West, and as we see, look at Maduro. Look, there's like that one NDP MP, that young girl that came out recently, and she's like, "Oh, how dare Trudeau support the new leader opposed to Maduro," or something like that. And everybody that supports Maduro, it just lets you know who they really are. It's like Erdogan supports him, like a bunch of these other socialist states support him. So if you side with them, then you essentially know what your ideology is, what you're promoting on the world stage. And if there wasn't a lot of other people calling out Maduro, probably Trudeau would back him, would support him, like Bernie Sanders and all those other people that came out and like, oh, look how great, how amazing they're doing things in Venezuela, and we should do that too. And oh, they're doing so great. Now they're trying to blame it on like American intervention and foreign intervention to ruin their economy. It's like, no, because you didn't diversify your economy. You focused primarily on oil. You didn't try to do anything else. You just gave people that money, and it wasn't very smart. But I'm going to listen while I drive. Oh, be careful, coach. AJ on target. Hey, Honor. Hey, coach. Who else is in here? Hey, Gordon. How's it going, buddy? Close my eyes to read chat. 6 hours of watching 2 movies. Yeah. You gotta look at something far away, Faye. Get your eyes used to it, then look back. Hey, LA Fant. How's it going? Hey, Luke. What's up? The white race is dying. When white men die out, it will be the end of society. Women will not take up the mantle. Blacks will turn society into a ghetto. Yeah, you're probably right. Still laughing, idiot drunk McAllen resigned. Oh yeah, that was funny. Well, he got fired, right? He didn't resign. He was asked to step down, and good riddance. He should have been fired days ago, but I guess they were waiting. And once that Nokia purchase went through, then it was like, okay, that seemed to me to be the final straw. They're like, okay, we invested 40 million into Nokia instead of, China. So that's great. Once again, this whole Meng Wanzhou thing is a blessing in disguise. Honestly, it's a blessing in disguise. It's probably one of the best things that could have happened to Canada. Knowing and all this stuff happening, we would have kept working with China and kept working with that company that nobody else in the Five Eyes community is even willing to work with. And it's like we were trying to move our investments over to China and a lot of a business and doing a lot more trade with them as opposed to America. But now there's like Japan coming out and asking us if we want to work with them. So that's great. We're Taiwan, Japan, all these other markets. Fuck China. We need to stop trading with China. We need to cut them off at the fucking knees and support Trump and fight with them, right? Still laughing, idiot drunk McAllen. Oh yeah. Maduro today, Trudeau tomorrow. Hopes, yeah. Hopefully, but I don't know if it's going to get as bad. We're probably not going to be eating dogs anytime soon. But I'll read a little bit of the story. Silence is violence, Winnipeg group host. But like I said, it's crazy to me to see these things pop up in Canada, in places like Sweden and all these other places that are like, oh, we need to stop the white supremacy here. Like, what are you talking about? I think the Canadian narrative is that we're a cultural mosaic and welcoming country, and all this type of polite Canadian stereotypes that we have up north, said Alexa Potashnik, founder of Black Space Winnipeg. The group organized the event called Silence is Violence. The reality is that white supremacy does exist. It knows no borders. It doesn't know any boundaries. It's regulated by the state. It has social and political influence, she said. So it's all just word salad. That's all it is. It's word salad. You don't actually explain what the fuck you believe. Reality is white supremacy does exist. It knows no borders. It doesn't know any boundaries. It's regulated by the state. It has social, political influence. Just words. We're like, how? Explain what you fucking believe. Explain the shit. Like, how is it no borders? I guess they're just meaning American companies, capitalist countries going and having companies in other countries and shit like that. Or is it white supremacy when China is fucking over Africa and taking a bunch of their resources? Is that white supremacy? Probably speaking to these people, they're probably, yes, it is a form of white supremacy because they're just copying the imperialist and the colonialists, and they're just doing what they did, and they wouldn't have done this if the white supremacy didn't teach them how to do this, right? So just be stupid fucking nonsense. But I think the Canadian blah blah blah. The reality is white supremacy does exist. The event began at 6 p.m. at the U of W's Bowman Center. It had initially been slated for the school Rideau Hall, but had to be moved because of strong interest. The first portion of the event was set aside for members of the BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and People of Color communities to share their perspectives before it was opened up to allies to join the conversation. So all of us, we get to speak first, then you allies can speak second. Then we'll let you allies, you white people, essentially. Then you could speak after you let us rant and rave and tell you how horrible and terrible white people are and how horrible it is living in a country that I came into voluntarily. We didn't have slaves in Canada. Nobody put you fuckers on a fucking boat and brought you here, okay? Nobody did that. So the only people that can really kind of bitch and shit is natives. That's about it. And they're stretching it a lot of the fucking times too. And they're just milking that shit for as long as they can possibly milk it. That's how it looks like to me. I don't care if it sounds racist. To me, it looks like Aboriginal people. One minute they're like, oh, I'm the land and the people, and we need to fight for the land. And the next they're like, throwing fucking shit all over the ground and like destroying a bunch of shit. And you're like, you're speaking out of one part of your mouth and out of the other. Your actions don't line up with the things you're saying a lot of the times. But the only really people, like I said, that could bitch because we came here and shit are the Aboriginals. But like all the Black people and the Chinese and all these other people that came here, it really boggles my mind that you're going to complain about white supremacy and all this other crap. It's like, go back to your own country and live there, right? If it's so bad here, so much oppression, go back and live there, right? Makes no sense. The dialogue, this discussion is very important. It's very key, said Adeline Bird, vice president of Black Space. Potashnik said Black Space members started calling for the event in the wake of violence of Charlottesville earlier this month. So VA earlier this month. So it's like, you started this because of Charlottesville. A 20-year-old man who reportedly idolized Nazis in high school drove a car into a crowd of counter-protesters who gathered to oppose a white nationalist rally in Virginia City. 19 people were injured and Heather Heyer, 32 killed. White supremacist and alt-right groups are present in Winnipeg too. Bird added the event was also a response to the hateful graffiti that turned up in the city following the deadly Charlottesville rally. So the hateful graffiti that they're talking about was people that were posting, they put Soros and white extinction around. Like people put like white, it's okay to be white, Soros. And this was like, this made an uproar in the Jewish community, and people were like, oh my God, this shows there's all these hate groups in Winnipeg, and we're just as bad as it was in the South during Jim Crow era. This is exactly how Winnipeg is for people. Look at all these hateful, really hateful signs of white extinction. Who's it hateful to? It's hateful to us. You know, it's telling you the truth. Yes, Soros is funding open borders. His open borders things, he's thrown, I don't know how many billions of dollars towards it to brown up our countries, literally. Like that's not fake. That's true. And it's going to lead to our replacement. All of this is true. None of it is fake. It's all true. Thank you, Rainy Steps, for the donation, man. I really appreciate it. Hello, Mr. How are you on this fine day? I'm pretty good, man. Not too bad. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far, man. And thank you again for the donation, man. I really appreciate it every time you do donate. Let's see here. But AJ, dude, would the U.S. and Canada be powerful countries they are with African slave labor? Would the U.S.? Yes, they would definitely be as powerful as they are today, because it wasn't slave labor that made these countries rich, because slave labor was used throughout the entire planet and is still being used to this day. So the countries that are using slave labor to this day, how come they don't have higher living standards than America? And how come the people who continue practicing it or practice it at the same time as America, how come their economies didn't flourish? They had slave labor. So it has nothing to do with slave labor. It's the fact that we have property rights. We have capitalism, you know, free speech. We have all of these institutions that have less corruption than other countries. Like if you go to Mexico, can you trust the police? No, you can't. You got to pay them off for them to protect you. Whereas in our countries, there's a lot more trust. And, you know, it was more homogenous, but, you know, there's many aspects as to why we are more powerful and we had success that we have today. And it has, you know, we became rich because we got slaves to pick cotton. And what about Canada? How come we have one of the highest, we were designated the best country just a little while ago or something, right? We had no slaves. We didn't have slaves. Then the argument is nonsense, right? It's a nonsense argument that people just like to say, and it means absolutely nothing. Today at the YV protest, I had a socialist tell me Trudeau needs to go, but the carbon tax needs to stay because I don't believe in global warming. Paraphrasing. Yeah, well, a lot of socialists hate Trudeau too, but that doesn't mean anything because they just hate anybody who's right of Mao Zedong, essentially. Like if you're slightly right of Mao Zedong, they're like, you're a fucking sellout. Oh my God. So it's like, yeah, those people, you know, it's never good enough for them. They're always like more socialism, more authoritarian. Oh, we need to just blow up all the pipelines, all this shit, right? You know, Trudeau's trying to like kind of pander to both sides to some extent. And, you know, he's probably not that far of a crazy Marxist like some of these people that are just completely deluded in it. Like, you know, a lot of the leader people, a lot of people in control, they're not actually really Marxist, or they don't really want socialism per se for themselves, right? Like, you know, they push Marxism, but like, you know, it's the university professors and these kids and all this stuff that actually believe in socialism, that actually think, oh, it's a good system that will redistribute wealth and make everybody. But the elites and stuff know that it's just a perfect system to control people. They know that it's not going to work out the way that these dumb idiots think it's going to work out. And it's perfect. There's so many useful idiots for the elites or whatnot, who they themselves, they don't want, like I said, they're not actually Marxist to the same extent like some of these regular people are. Like they actually believe this bullshit. A lot of the other people, they don't believe it. They just know it's an effective tool to control people. It's an effective lie to tell people that, oh, if we just get the right government in place to distribute the wealth correctly and to take it from these evil racists and the bourgeoisie, then, and distribute it amongst the poor, then, oh, everything's going to be great. You know, a lot of dumb people believe this. A lot of dumb, really stupid idiots think that, like, humans are not fallible, or that, like, you know, I don't know how many times people need to see, how many times people need to be taken advantage of before they wake up and realize that the government doesn't give two fucking shits about you, is inefficient, ineffective. Like, just the whole reason I'm more or less against the government is, it has more to do with this inefficiency. Like, even take away the aspect of them stealing your money at the end of a gun, you know, without your you know, saying it's okay or whatever. Like, just the fact that they're so inefficient makes me against it, because I just see how much they just throw money away and spend on useless nonsense all the time. And you're just like, oh, God damn it. Why do you keep throwing this money away? And like, oh, I could have told you that was a stupid thing. Or we're going to spend 10 million studying what what Canadians think of health. Like, they spent, I don't know how many millions researching what people thought about the health food, you know, chart and stuff before they implemented a new one. Why are you asking regular people? So what do you think we should be eating? What do you think we should be eating? You're just wasting time and fucking money. You know, you fucking, I don't know, people, they can figure out what the fuck they should eat themselves. And the only reason the government has a legitimacy to promote a diet to use, because we have a healthcare, socialized healthcare. So then they can make and justify making rules to be like, well, we're going to increase the price of alcohol, booze, weed, cigarettes, all this stuff because it's bad for you. And it's going to increase our healthcare costs. So we're going to increase all these other things. Whereas the people, we just had a private system, there would be a lot less of these restrictive rules, because, you know what, they just punish everybody for the sake of some fucking idiots. That's what always happens. Like, like fluoride, for example, they're considering in a lot of places lifting the ban in fluoride, because in some Aboriginal communities and some of these other communities, they don't brush their teeth. So now their teeth are all fucked, and they're blaming it on the fact there's no fluoride. Whereas it's like, it's probably their fucking diet and all this other shit. But now we got to put it in fluoride in all of our water, all of our drinking water, because there's a group of people that don't brush their fucking teeth or don't take care of their fucking teeth. And now, oh, we're going to essentially poison all of you now. And it's crazy. But, you know, that this is how they think. This is how they fucking operate. And anybody who's dealt with the healthcare system knows it's complete fucking garbage. You know, old white guy was talking about what they did to his wife, where they completely mangled her fucking arm. You know, I was talking to this other guy, this guy I was hanging around with earlier today, and like, yeah, he's had so many issues with, you know, just the healthcare system in Canada. And it's like, that's also inefficient, you know. Lots of inefficiencies. That's one of the main reasons I'm against a large government. Hammer and sickle flag waving communists started more ships at the Yellow Vest rally today in Hamilton. One was arrested. 3 Yellow Vests got minor injuries. 2 weeks ago, a commie pulled a knife. Yeah, right. But all we're ever going to hear about is the Yellow Vest and how bad they are. Like, there's an article today that I came across from CBC, or I think it was CBC. It's like Yellow Vest protests in Red Deer creating stress for new arrivals to Canada. Well, that's fucking tough. You know what? Fuck you. Okay. Like, we have the right to protest, you know, bringing in a bunch of fucking immigrants or refugees and migrants. Oh, they're making them feel tense and stuff like that. Well, get used to it in a country like Canada and stuff, right? We're going to have protests, and we're going to talk about how we're displeased about the migration and the immigration, and us talking about it isn't hatred. Like what Trudeau is saying, you know, recently, he's like, oh, we're going to pick up this year in this election, there's going to be a lot of anti-immigrant hatred being spewed around. And so what that pretty much means is anytime we point to like these refugees that were recently charged, like one of them was recently charged, the other one let go or something, or we point to the Danforth shooter, or we point to, you know, any other refugees that are doing anything bad, that's going to be causing division and hatred in the community. Blah, 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 right? It's like, no, it's not. It's just pointing to a reality that bringing in people with certain ideologies is going to increase the rate of potential accidents happening, or accidents, rapes, girls being groped in pools, kids being shot. Like, remember the Danforth shooter? He ignored the Sikh guy. He was like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to shoot you. And then he went and killed white people specifically. So there's people coming in here targeting white Canadians. And he's like, well, no, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. You know, no, it's not a problem. You know, like this is what happened in the shooting in America, that Pulse shooting. You know, he came in and he's like, oh, there are black people in here. He's like, well, don't worry, I don't have a problem with you. I'm gonna kill all these other fucking people in here. You know, it's crazy, but you know, that's all we ever hear about is right-wing you know, extremism. Now there's 2 guys that went to a mosque apparently, and they're being investigated for hate crimes because they walked around a mosque and they had infidel on the head on their toque, and they're like, oh, how dare they do this? And like, I recommend that they don't do that either. Like, if you're in these groups, don't go into mosques, like walk around, stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's not a good idea. It's going to be totally framed negatively, and that's going to take up the coverage from what is actually going on, because it's perfect. There's like, you know, there's all these Islamists. There's that Islamist woman that is like being charged right now that attacked somebody at a Canadian Tire. I think it was last year. Then there's those 2 other guys. There's that other person that the agencies let in that they didn't name a little while ago. They said it was a person of interest, and there was like CSIS and all these other things that, like, you know, they accidentally let this person of interest in, or of national security, become a resident and receive all these social benefits. And now I think Scheer talked about how Trudeau needs to fix the immigration or the refugee screening thing. And he's like, oh, how dare you talk about this? Essentially, oh, you're just fermenting hate and resentments towards these communities and all this crap. And you're like, are you kidding me? And even after those 2 Muslim guys recently are being charged for terrorist attacks, there's another article I have, and there's like the RCMP making sure that there's no like anti-Muslim hatred. So community leaders work to head off anti-Muslim backlash as Kingston terror arrests wind up political debate. So it's just funny. It's like, you know, now they're going to go and protect and worry about the anti-Muslim backlash after these 2 people were going to bomb and kill a bunch of innocent civilians. Now we have to go worry about the Muslims and stuff. What about the anti-backlash if, like, yeah, a white person does something? If a white person smiles at somebody, there's a bunch of fucking backlash too. They get a bunch of death threats, but nobody worries about that, right? But it's just, oh, okay, every time Muslims kill some people, we need to make sure that we clamp down on the anti-Muslim rhetoric that goes around. But anytime a white person kills somebody, it's going to be like, we need, like what's his, Don Lemon? We need to have a ban on white men until we figure out what is going on. And he's thinking he's like smug and funny by saying that. But what these fucking retards don't realize is that a race, white race, that's not an ideology. Islam is an ideology. Islam is a belief system. Being white isn't. I don't care what you you fucking liberals or leftists think. White, oh no, it actually is an ideology and it is a belief system. No, it isn't. You're crazy if you say that, okay? Oh, you know, yes, it's a social construct. I can agree that white, black, these things are social constructs to an extent, right? But we all know what the fuck it is at the end of the day. We all know what white people are, what black people are, brown people are, Asian people are. You know, I hate how Asian and like Pakistanis and all this shit get lumped in with Asians because, like, you know, in Europe, they're always like, oh, Asian man did this, Asian man did this. And like, whenever people hear Asian, then nobody thinks about a Pakistani. People, they think of a little Chinese person. That's what they think of. But, you know, they do this thing, I think, on purpose. But but yeah, a lot of people will try to make up the idea that you know, yeah, white is actually an ideology, and I see these people always comparing the two. It's like, no, white, that's a race of people. It's not a fucking belief system, you morons. AJ, Chinese, the least burdensome group of immigrants there is. Africans and Muslims are the worst. Yeah, well, you say that, but what's going on in Vancouver right now? They just laundered $1 billion through the casinos and through the housing market. So, you know, that's an argument, right? To say that they're worse, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Maybe physically, maybe they're not as bad. You know, you don't have to worry about them beating you up unless they have like 20 to 30 of them in a group, you know, like they tend to do. But but no, other than that, no, they're destroying the fucking housing market in Vancouver. They're laundering, the triads are laundering. They're bringing in tons of drugs into Canada and stuff. So, you know, that's a debate. That's a fucking debate to be had. Who's worse, right? Oh, but they buy houses and they get money, and but who cares? Who fucking cares? You know, it's like, go back to fucking China and live in fucking China. That's what I have to say, because even if it's like, oh, but they're the model minority. Nah, that's bullshit. You know, Chinese people say they're the most racist group of people. You know, you think that they like white people? Trust me, they fucking don't. Okay, they say the worst fucking shit behind our backs and stuff. So, you know, to your face, they'll be like, oh, we're the model minority. We love you, white people. And behind their back to all the people of color, people are like, ah, fuck white people. Fuck white people and white this. And, oh, they're so lazy and they're this and they're that and they're this. And you're like, go fuck these people, man. Or like, obviously not all Chinese people are gonna add the caveat, because I'm gonna be like, oh, but I know a Chinese guy and he's really nice. Yeah, I know plenty of nice Chinese people and Filipino people and Muslim people and all this fucking shit. Doesn't mean I want to be replaced by them, you know. So you know, they have 1 billion people in China. They don't need to expand out anymore. They can expand out in the rest of Asia. Yes, this is my anti-Asian rant, especially after what China is doing to us right now on the politically. You know, they're treating us like shit. Fuck China. Fuck them to hell. You know, they're like, oh, you better fucking stand with us and not Trump, and you better release this girl or you're gonna pay and all this crap. And you're like, no, fuck you. Like, oh, you know, you better keep our company away in Canada or else. Like, what kind of threats is that? Seriously, that tells you everything you need to know about that country when they're dealing with other countries like this. You know, America, oh, America's so bad, so bad. Well, have they detained any of our citizens? Have they sentenced any Canadians to death? No, I haven't. But, you know what, honestly, fuck China and fuck the Chinese coming into Canada and taking it over, because they are doing it. Enough of that shit. Fuck, kick out the Chinese, stop letting them come in. Arabs, black people, the Nigerians, all these people that are coming across the border. It all needs to be stopped. All of it needs to be stopped, because then we're going to have more of this shit. More of this shit that I get in Winnipeg here. Silence is violence. What kind of nonsense does that mean? Silence is violence. We need to, if you don't talk about white supremacy, then you're actually being violent. What kind of nonsense is that? What that means is, if you're not coming out and saying white people are shit, then we're going to assume you're a fucking racist and that you're promoting violence against people of color. That's really what the gist of what the fuck this shit means. Just like these people, they think words are violence. They think words are violence because people can't handle freedom of speech. Because the more diverse we become, the less we have freedom of speech. Because it's like, oh, you're going to offend this group. And, there was that whole Sikh dance thing that they're making fun of Trudeau. The Sikh community get all pissed off at Trudeau and sent him a fucking letter. But when they made fun of it in Quebec, then, oh, your feelings. Boo, boo, boo. Go fuck yourself. Go back to your fucking country. You know how many people make fun of fucking Christians all fucking day, every fucking day long? Don't give me a fucking break. You know, I can't handle this nonsense. And it makes me more and more anti-immigration the more I see this type of shit. The more I see people coming into Winnipeg and being like, we need to have a discussion about white supremacy and racism going on in your country. Just go back to your fucking country then. Go back to your country. You know, it makes me into one of these people that you'll see on like South Park and be like, they're taking our jabs, and like, yeah, because it's true. It's fucking true, man. It's so true. And I'm just so sick and tired of having to like, oh, but these people are great. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not great. It's bad. It's horrible. Any immigration into Canada at this point in time is terrible, and we need to stop it. You know, like, I don't know. Like, it needs to be so small. It needs to be like, I don't know, 10,000 people a fucking month. I mean, a year or something at the most. Like minuscule compared to what it is right now. That's what I believe, because it's just totally insane what's going on. We're being invaded by other people, and then they're telling us how bad we are, how racist we are, and how we need to change to accommodate them. What the hubris, the amount of fucking like balls and shit that you must have to go to another country and then be like, well, fucking, you guys need to start learning about my culture, and you need to learn this, and you need to stop being so racist. And, oh, you know why there's terrorism? Because you don't put Muslims in movies, and you know, you're racist, and you're exclusionary to these people. That's why they're terrorists. And oh, they were radicalized in your country. That's what they're saying about this terrorist guy. Forget this guy. Something I saw on Twitter, Goldenberg, something like this. And he's like this Jewish guy, and he's like, oh well, fucking, what is he saying about? He's like, well, the kids could have been they were radicalized in Canada because you don't know the screening process. So we need to monitor the internet and the way people speak and racism and all this stuff. So you're like, yeah, right away. Yeah, the problem is the internet, freedom of speech, people speaking to each other and stuff online, you know, and people being racist. Yeah, this is the problem. This is why we have extremism in Canada. When people were probably a lot more racist 30, 40, 50 years ago, and there was a lot less of it. And they're like, oh, well, you know, this is a new day and age now. You're going to have immigrants come to your country and replace you because yada, 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 old people need money. But I'll read more of it. White supremacist alt-right groups are present in Winnipeg, Bird said, and the event was also a response to hateful graffiti turned up. Batatsit said she hoped the Wednesday event gave people in Winnipeg an opportunity to speak openly about race issues. I want people, especially folks who are accustomed to privilege from the system. And I don't, what do people say, folks? I keep seeing this, folks. This means something. Like this is a dog whistle. This is some dog whistle. I want people, especially folks, who are accustomed to privilege from the system. So I think folks means white people, because I keep seeing a lot of fucking different groups of black people, especially kind of like, you know, the very black centric, you know, supremacist type people say that, or like, you know, these folks. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, why do you, it's like a condescending term or something, right? To really have an open, raw, real dialogue about privilege. So this is what they mean whenever they say, we need to have discussions about race. White people, you need to have discussions about race, and they need to be open and raw, and they need to all be about your privilege and how privileged of a white person you are. That's what they mean. It's not like, well, black people commit the majority of the crime in Toronto. This is why they're being shot more. They thought that's racist. You're racist. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, hey, I'm just having an honest discussion about race. We're like, no, I meant I wanted to tell you how oppressed you oppress me, and the reason why there's more Aboriginals in prison and jail is because white people are racist. You know, that's what the real discussion is about. Don't tell me what the actual problems are and shit going on in my community. That's not the discussion we really want to have. You know, they don't want to have a raw discussion, an open, raw, real dialogue about privilege, race, and supremacy, and really think and strategize ways to move forward as a community. So, you know, telling white people they're bad. And Bird said it's essentially for white allies. It's essential for white allies. Fuck you with your white allies term, to step up to combat racism when they see it, especially within their own social circles. So, you know, so once again, the same narrative. You know, racism is only from white people. This is what they mean. Like, you know, if we want to combat racism, white people need to start addressing the people within their own communities and call it out. The white allies need to call it out in their communities. Like, so you're just essentially saying that, oh, it's only us that have to worry about it. You know how much hate I see coming from other people? You know, it's insane. You think I sound fucking hateful? You know what? Like, just switch white with black in a lot of the stuff that you see today, and you'll see who the fucking real hateful people are. You'll see what the real hateful people are. Like, for example, look at this. This is an article from the CBC released today, January 26th, by Doug Cuthand. Important of Indigenous Peoples March got overshadowed by the face of white privilege. So this is the starting headline of the starting like sentence. A bunch of privileged white boys taunting a First Nation elder triggered old feelings from my past. So, you know, if I just said this about they'd be like, wow, you're racist. If I was like, a bunch of privileged black kids taunting some white veteran triggered my old feelings from my past, they'd be like, what are you, a racist? You're a racist. But you know, you could say whatever you want about fucking white people, and I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of having to be like, oh, but this, and oh, but this is great, but they're great. It's like, no, I don't want any of it. You know, I didn't care this much about white people and white replacement, all this stuff, until people forced me to care about it, right? I didn't care about identity politics or tribalism and all this other shit. I'm not tribalistic myself, right? But I'm being forced to be that way. I'm being forced to care about my own group because it's being attacked continuously, and I am a part of that group. So I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like, look at this more anti-white racism, like more anti-white racism and stuff like that. But it's like, what am I left to do? What am I left to do to care more about my own people and stuff more than other people? Like, they have left me no choice, because all I see is constant identity politics being played, constant people fighting for their groups above others, constantly fighting to get the government resources to spend more on them as opposed to other people. And nobody's thinking in a more unified sense of like Canadians. And hey, I'd be all down for that. I'd be down for thinking everybody is Canadian and everybody, regardless of race and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, too many goddamn people are like this, and it forces me to be that way too. Like I said, I don't want to be tribalistic. I don't want to, I'm not, right? But we all are to some extent, to different degrees. Like, I'm sure I am to some degree, but not as much as some other people. But like I said, you know, it's like, if I'm paying attention, I'm looking around, and every single day I see anti-white this, white this. I see these kids, the Covington boys, and what they're going through right now. And you see articles coming out being like this guy, he goes in this whole article. He's like, oh, we came out, we pretended they were victims. Everybody apologized for them. Yeah, because this native fucker that you're defending is a lying piece of shit. He was not a fucking veteran, or I mean, he was not a what do you call it? Vietnam veteran. You know, he was like training during those ages. Like, he lied so much about those boys. He put their lives in danger because he was like, oh, they were attacking those black Israelites, and I was there, and they were looking at me like they were going to tear me apart, and I was so frightened, and they were making fun of me and mocking me and all this stuff. Like, those lies will put people in danger because, once again, people are tribalistic. So then they see some native people or some other people of color, because they're all kind of grouped against white people. They see, oh, white boy smirked at native man. We need to punish this fucking whitey, and we need to fucking do this, ruin his life, and all this stuff. And as we see now, we see the results. And this is tribalism. You know, people, it's all about race. It's all people see. All they think about is race, and they see white kid does something to brown person, and they lose their fucking minds. And, you know, it's. But if a white person gets killed by a black person, you point it out, or a native person, you're like, oh, you're a racist. Oh, stop drawing attention to refugees killing Canadians because you're just bringing up anti-immigrant hatred, right? So it's there's no winning if you're white Western in this civilization. Thank you, Rainey, again for all the donations. Thank you. Can we all pitch in and get him a new hat? Hey, what's wrong with my hat? There's nothing wrong with my hat. I was going to get a new hat today, honestly, but I got sidetracked and I had to come back home. But I was actually going to buy a new toque. If only Trump was in Canada. Yeah, that would be nice. Tribalism is natural. The issue is they don't want us to do what is natural in many ways. People should only mix voluntarily. I agree. You know, but the government forces people to be together when they don't want to be. And they're like, this is going to help things. But why did they do it initially? It's because nobody wants to acknowledge the differences in IQ. Right? That really what it comes down to, because they're like, oh, well, if we just mix all the schools together, then they'll all do as good. You're like, no, it's just going to bring down the quality for everybody, and all the kids are going to suffer eventually, because, you know, there are always going to be group differences, and there's going to be differences in group IQs, and some groups are going to be more successful in school than others, and it's not because of racism and prejudice. It's because of genetics, typically, right? So, you know, you can't really do anything about that. But to a leftist, all group differences are the result of racism and prejudice and discrimination. So whenever they see a group difference, Jon Snow, put at AJ elicits if you're going to ask a question, man, because you keep saying AJ, and you ask a question, and I see you're like, man, I asked a question, but you put AJ, and I can't see that, man. I can't see that. You got to put at AJ elicits. Okay, Jesus Gonzalez. So he did it right there. Is it true that the hair is attached to the toque? No, it's not. It's not attached. See, you can see it's not attached. It's just my hair's crazy long right now. I don't want to cut it. White is the new black. Should you want me to him, AJ? No, I don't. No, don't. I'm just saying, just because it's bothering me. Because you did that last stream, and you're like, AJ, you're not answering my question, so I'm gonna leave. But I'm like, well, you know, man, like you gotta put AJ elicits in the thing, right? And then I'll see it. Shut the fuck up, old white guy. I'm not pissed off, you fucking asshole. Unsub. Unsub. Gordon, Gator, you know what to do. You know what to do. Ask AJ if he is really a white woman. Hey, women can't grow. This is real. This is real, man. What? AJ looks like one of the French guys in the castle throwing animals over at Sir Lancelot in Monty Python. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. AJ, you first missed my first comment concerning voodoo. Oh, I probably did. I think you did. Sometimes I do go in like little rants, and then I'll forget stuff. So I'll look back at that. Here, let me see if I can see it here. AJ, some brave souls watched into the mosque in Edmonton for look-see. One sec. Could you maybe ask it again, and then I'll read it there. He smells like elderberries. By old white guy. Like old white guys' hats. Compliment. Guy, yeah. Yeah. No. Ban old white guy the next time he acts up. Rainey, you don't have to lie. You don't like my hat. You don't like my hat. You don't have to lie. Thank you for the donation. I'll buy a hat immediately. That's why he gives me money all the time, because he wants me. It's a subtle push to get me to go buy a new toque or to get a haircut, you know. And I'm on to that. I'm catching on to your shit, man. Old white guy, you've been warned. Yeah. Just messing with you. A little structure wouldn't hurt. A little structure. Looks like one of the French guys. Oh, you bastard. You son of a bitch. AJ is a really white woman. Let's see here. Let me go on the bottom. Okay. Elephant. Fug your hat. That's racist, man. That's racist. Honestly, insulting my hat is racist to French Canada and the French Canadian people in Manitoba, and I would feel terrible about yourself. AJ, I made AJ voodoo doll. Let me know if you feel any pain. Well, you know, not so far. So your skills are shit. Your skills are shit, man. They suck because I don't feel a thing. No, he's caving only for. No, he's not caving. Only 4 weeks. 3. Who's caving? All hell, AJ. Thank you, Jon Snow. Where's the cat? Oh, he's sleeping. He's like snuggled into like a little blanket right now. Just, you know what he's been doing? He's been like wanting to sleep underneath a blanket. So I lift it and he like goes underneath, and then he'll like snuggle in and sleep. I'm sure the people joining me are wondering like, why the hell is he talking about his cat? What the fuck? Okay, buddy, I just heard a short blip. AJ elicits federal election date. When's the date? I don't know. In a year? Je suis la fente de là. Je suis la fente de là. Hey, what is the big weekend story in Canada other than Butler McCallum? You know, a lot of it does have to do with China, and I guess those 2 terrorists being apprehended, or one of them being charged. AJ, my wife Sam is cooking a roast right now. Want to come for a dinner? Oh man, I'd love to have a roast. I love meat, as you guys know. Gator, the Rev is cool. My cat weighs, holy crap, 8 pounds. GameStop was funny. Oh yeah, the tranny GameStop. I'm clearly a woman. I'm clearly a woman. Il c'est le mal des libtards. C'est le mal des libtards. Jim Jones, where are you at? Family strange. I'm in a van. What time is it? Din din. Did you know you can change your gender to animal? What the fuck is happening in this world? Yeah, I'm already a toad, an endangered toad. So technically I can go on anybody's private property, because if there's a certain type of endangered toad on like your property, then the government can just like apprehend it. So yeah, I'm like this endangered toad. That's a good idea, actually. I just thought of that right now. I'm like, yeah, I should identify some endangered species so that I can go and live wherever I want. Like if I go and I settle somewhere, they can't move me, because it could disrupt, like, you know, I'll be like one of the last polar bears or one of the last rhinos. I'll identify as a rhino, and then I'll just go live somewhere, and it'll be like, well, you can't move me. You can't, you know, harm me because I'm an endangered species, and you're liberal, right? And you need to protect the environment. Thank you again, Rainy. Thank you for all the donations, man. I really, really appreciate that. You've already given me like 3 or 4 already, man. Thank you. You're perfect. You were on the mark. Thank you, man. Hi, how is everyone doing? I'm pretty good, man. That's what migrants are. Old white guy coming in the chat and causing shit. That's what he does. That's what he does. Good live stream the other day, by the way, even though it cut out a bunch, unfortunately. But what are you going to do? But here's the story with the indigenous guy. And this one just kind of pissed me off, because I was just like, why is this still a story? Why are they still running with this thing? It's been like more than a week. We found out that this native guy is a liar. The boys did nothing wrong, which I didn't think they did wrong. They did anything wrong to begin with, but it goes, a bunch of privileged white boys taunting a First Nation elders triggered old feelings from my past. When I was in grade 8, my parents moved to southern Alberta, and we lived close to the blood reserve. What followed was 5 years of school in a racist town. My friends included many of the students from the reserve, and when a teacher pointed out that the Blackfeet were the traditional enemy of the Cree, my dad told me that we made a peace treaty long ago, and that teacher should study history. Besides, my grandfather spoke Blackfoot. We had Blackfoot relatives. My grandfather and a man from Siksika Nation adopted each other as brother. Nonsense. Well, we're actually no, we didn't actually kill each other. That's fake news. We're actually blood-packed relatives, and we've always been together. You white liars coming here saying that natives fought each other. That's a lie. That's white supremacist lie. The white kids in our school didn't really know us. They laughed at our funny names. They thought drumming was primitive and we sang silly songs. It was probably all bullshit. I'm just telling you, I don't believe a lot of fucking shit that people say, especially like just, you know, like, like just look at that native guy. He said that many times. He's laughed many fucking times or lied many times. Oh, Rainy Steps, thank you again, man. That's a huge donation, man. Thank you. Thank you for the donation, man. I really, really do appreciate that. I understand that you want me to go buy a hat. So I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm gonna buy a new toque on Rainy Steps, because I think I understand the subtle messages that he's sending me here. Just like, keeps giving me money, and he sees me drinking out of like vases, and he sees me drinking out of mason jars, and he's like, fuck, this guy needs money. He's got his hat's falling apart. He's drinking out of jars, old pickle jars, you know, like he feels for me. I think that's why he's helping me out. Thank you, Rainy, though, man. I really do appreciate that. Sometimes I'm reading stuff, so I don't see it right away, but yeah, I'll try to scroll through, see if anybody said anything. AJ, can I legally identify as a black guy even if I'm white? I think you might be able to in Canada, but a lot of people will be mad at you because you can identify as a different gender, but trying to identify as another race, even though it's logically consistent, in their ideology, they'll lose their fucking shit, like they did with that white girl who pretended to be black and other people, because they're like, you're stealing our like victimology, like you're taking our victim points, like, oh, you can't be a victim like us, like you can't, you know, ever know what it's like to be me because you're white and privileged and you can never be black and whatever. So, you know, but I'm sure the reverse is okay. Are you a fan of any big YouTubers? Am I a fan of any big YouTubers? Yes. I like Stefan Molyneux. I haven't listened too much of him recently, but I like his stuff. I like lots of people. Let me look. I like Mark Dice. I like his videos like in the morning and stuff before I go to work or something. It's like a 5-minute video, and his videos are funny. I like watching them. Who else do I like watching? That's like, I guess, a big YouTuber. I don't know. I kind of switch it around. Like I watched a little bit of Black Pigeon Speaks. I haven't watched him in a little while. Atheism is Unstoppable is making. I haven't watched him in a long time, but I've recently started watching a couple of his videos, and he's pretty good. Who else do I watch? And I've been watching a lot of, like, you know, smaller YouTubers as well, and not too many big ones, I guess. You know, other than, not really. Yeah, you know, I don't know. A lot of them are smaller, I guess. Not too many big ones. Wants you to step up your game. Rainy Steps has a daughter and wants you to step up your game. Oh yeah. Are you a fan? Okay, LA Bleach Works, Manchies or Hermans, Jim Jones, and he's back. I heard he could be a black albino. Yeah, that's true. I identify as cat happens. Weekend. Oh, nice, Neeb. Yeah, man, I didn't get to see you last time. I messaged you afterwards, but you didn't get back to me. But I called you N-word even before I came in. Also, where's my wrench? Is it still buffering, guys? Because I know missed ducks. There's a, oh shit. Yeah, there might be a, I don't know why it's buffering like that. It's been going good for this past hour. It's old white guy. I gotta go, AJ. Oh, well, have a good one, Western Civilization, man. Take it easy, buddy. Thank you for joining me in the stream. And he's back. I'm back. Christ. Fuck. Buffering. Here we go. Thanks, bud. Have a good night. It's working for me now. We're back. We're back on. Wow, that was shitty. I hate when that happens, you know, because then you end up, you know, you lose a lot of people, and they're like, they just end up leaving. And you're like, damn, you know, it was good. I had a lot of like 50, 60 people in almost. Got a cap fit for a Canuck. Got the maple leaf. Yeah, you know, I need to get a Canuck toque, right? That's what I need to get, is a Canadian toque. So then everybody knows I'm from Canada. Like you know, like they already see with that. You see that? That means I'm Canadian. You're buffering. Everything is good, AJ. God, I fucking hate this stupid buffering. I don't understand. I hope it's just James the Nationalist that's buffering right now. But good now. Okay, good. Because weird. It just, you know, it's like it doesn't show on my end. I wish I would see on my end. Do you do these live streams lit? And if not, can you do one? Do you mean like high? Like do I do it high? Or drunk? Do you mean drunk? I said high and drunk. So I'm not sure which one you're responding to. High, okay. Yes, I took a bong rip before I did this stream. I take a yeah, man. I took a bong rip. I took a bong rip 2 days ago, I think, on my stream. I did it live. Everybody saw it. We all saw it. It's legal in Canada. We can do it. Oh, 1 sec. I moved my mic there because I was gonna I was gonna take a bong rip this stream again too. Oh, Rainy, man, thank you, man. Please, please, man. I feel like I'm stealing your money. You know what I mean? Thank you for the donation, man. I really, 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 really do appreciate that, man. I don't take for granted all the donations. I thank everybody who has donated. And Rainy, you've already given me like, I don't know, like $40 or something today, man. Like I can buy a really, really good toque with this, and maybe I can get some cups and cutlery. You know, I'll get some cups and cutlery for my shit. You deserve it. Oh, thank you, Voltron, man. I appreciate it. You guys, thank you all for joining me, man. I appreciate 45, 50 people. That's quite a bit for me. I think that's a great number. I went to go get beef patties just now for the Rexdale. A really bad idea. I was the only white guy in there. Yeah, right. You know, it's just increasingly, I start to notice more and more being like a minority and just looking around and being like, and I'm always just now I'm like counting white people now. I find myself doing that. I'm like going around. I'm like, there's like one white person there. I'm like, oh, there's like 2 white people in here. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't want to go in here now, but it's just noticing, right? I'm like, you know, already I see that it's like wherever you go, yeah, it's very, very often you're like, you know, white people are kind of like the minority wherever you're going. So you're like, fuck. But I think I'm gonna take another bong rip because Voltron got me thinking about it, and Rainy Steps got me in a good mood. Gator Hog, press the $sign at the bottom of the chat to donate. Oh yeah, right. I can't understand anyone at Tim Hortons. I know that's the one thing I hate. When I keep hearing like, oh, we need these people to do our jobs and do this. And every time I go into Tim Hortons, I go into anything, I see all people from like Somalia or from some Asian country or something. And I'm like, where are all the white people working here? I see one white person that's like the manager, that's like some little white fat lady or something. And she's the manager. And they're all like, nothing, like I said, nothing against brown people. It sounds so racist. I sound so racist. But it's just more, it's less to do with hatred towards other people and more to do with like, what about Canadians? Why aren't they working here? Why are we bringing people in to work at Tim Hortons? It makes absolutely no fucking sense. But even I read this story, you know, this girl, she did a study on racist and stuff. I was going to do a video about it, but she found the majority of people that actually that align with their race or something, with their group, are actually correlated with less racism as opposed to the people that don't align with their racial group type thing. There's actually more racism with those people as opposed to the people who actually do. It's more, you know, even this leftist researcher, she still somehow framed it as something bad. She's like, oh, this is almost worse, but because they're not racist, but their beliefs are going to create, you know, less immigration in Canada or America. And that's a bad thing. But realistically, it's like, you know, there's plenty of studies to prove that people who care about their own group are actually less racist, because it's not about hating anybody else. It's about, why are Canadians not benefiting? Why are the younger generation of people not working these jobs, right? Why aren't they doing it? They're staying in, not getting work experience. Then they get in, they start working when they're 25 and they get fired because they don't know how to take directions, because they've never worked a job before, because it's all being taken by other people who, you know, will speak up, won't, like, you know, that's the thing. We're becoming less and less hireable as Canadians as well, because, you know, if you come from like a little, you come from university, you're a social justice warrior, but nobody's going to want to hire you. Like, look what's happening with BuzzFeed and HuffPost. They're getting rid of all their opinion pieces and all that stuff because it's all nonsense, right? It's all stupid, you know, bullshit that nobody really cares about, wants to read, and they're just you know, slowly dying and dying. Hopefully that continues with a lot of the news agencies, because they're just shit. You have to put in your CC info. Thank you, Rainy Steps, man. Thank you, man. You must have deep pockets, man. I really fucking appreciate that. That's too much, man. Thank you, though. That's a lot of money, man. Like, thank you a lot. Like, I don't know how to express my thank you. No, I'm just being Canadian right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, you're welcome. Thank you. Like, no, man. That's great, man. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna get 2 new toques. I'm gonna get 2 new toques, and I'm gonna get a pair of underwear, new underwear that Jesus said. A French football team. Sorry. Sorry. I'm Canadian, eh? You know, I drink out of a bag of milk, and we drink milk out of a bag here in Canada. And, you know, I love watching South Park. I was watching that the other day. They make fun of Canada like the best. You know, I love they're like, everybody go and look at your book of faith. Everyone open your book of faith. And because there was like some thing going on in Canada, and the prime minister like contact all Canadians. Like, he's like, oh, we all need to meet at the tree in Edmonton, like or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, like Canada is the best sometimes. It's the best and it's the worst at the same time. Like, right? You know, they're just insufferable leftists everywhere, but it's still a good country, you know, in the end of the day. You and this audience very funny. Oh, thank you, Meg. Yeah, the audience is great. Everybody in here, you know, old white guy comes in, likes to create problems. That's why, you know, I tell people to make sure that if old white guy creates too many problems, to censor him for at least 300 seconds. But other than that, it's pretty good, you know, other than his shit. Yeah, you see? Oh, yeah, and I banned that one guy from the stream the other day because he was annoying me. But that MGTOW, I think it was MGTOW, kept coming back and saying stupid shit. I'm just like, you're banned. You're gone. No more. Oh, that's right. I was going to take a bong rip, right? Maybe old white guy is MGTOW. Yeah, I was thinking that. But old white guy, you know, it's like, yeah, I was talking about, you know, the healthcare and like what they did to, you know, his wife's arm and all this shit. And you're like, you know, people, they love to praise Canadian healthcare and be like, oh, it's so great. I love it. This is amazing. But I just know so many people have have gotten like killed or died because they got some bug that they got, because like the guy went to go get some weed from, he was telling me, because he has some blood infection right now, and he was saying that, like, you know, they put him in a room with like 5 different people, or his mother they put in a room before she died, and then she got like pneumonia from the people next door and died. And there was like a group of, you know, like he was just saying, he was like, it was a group of natives people that, like, you know, and there was like 5, 6 of them in the room, and they're all like bumping and fighting and shit. And it was like, you know, that's how his mother died, you know, in a nice public Canadian healthcare system, surrounded by people you don't know, hearing them wail like, help me. You know, like you try to avoid the hospital in Canada as much as you possibly can. And then when you're forced to go, then you're like, okay, I'll go. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna like try my very best not to have to go to the hospital if I don't need to. Right. You know, exactly. And there's so many people, like he was saying, they left this catheter in him. Like when they were doing this thing, they left this catheter in him for like 5 months, and it was supposed to be out in 3 weeks. But he had to deal with this thing for 5 months because his first doctor fucked up. And they're like, oh, we'll send you to this other doctor. And then like, okay, we're going to put you on 2-3 month waiting period. So they're waiting for so long. Right. And it's crazy. And you're like, you know, they're suffering that whole time. Just refinancing my wrench. Oh, thank you, Gordon, man. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for the donation. And your wrench is secured. Speaking of wrench, you know, I think Rainy Steps deserves a wrench for sure, because he's always donated, so like you get a wrench now, Rainy Steps, as well. That's the least I could do. Like, it's not much at all, right? But I honestly thank you guys, thank everybody for donating. I smoked the whole joint already, and AJ doesn't even have this big bong out yet. Oh, fuck. Right. Oh, yeah. It's right here. I'm going to hospital tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Linda. I'm not trying to freak you out. You know what? There's still lots of great people in the hospital there that work hard, and like you'll be okay. We're not like the South America and shit. So I don't want to make you scared or anything. You will be okay, Linda. Don't worry. You'll be okay. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta hold this. Although it's like a lot of it's still in here. I didn't smoke it all, kind of thing. Don't swallow the smoke. Oh man, the first time I started smoking weed, I think it was like when I was 15, and it was some of the first times I started smoking, and I swallowed like a double chambered bong rip, like a huge bong rip, and I've never been so high. I've never been so fucked in my life, because like I remember I was walking back home, and as I was walking home, I saw in front of what is that? Not Tim Hortons, but that other donut place. What's that other donut place? Robin's Donuts. And I was walking by Robin's Donuts, and I thought I was hallucinating. And I see this black and Arab guy fighting out in front of fucking Robin's Donuts, and they're like dressed in their white, because I don't know. It was like I guess they were working. I was like just hallucinating all night. It was crazy as shit. Thank you, Rainy Steps, again, man. Thank you again. Like you keep throwing the donations here, man. I'm gonna buy a toque, and I'm gonna stitch Rainy Steps on the toque, and I'm gonna have your name just stitched on it. I'm gonna judge you by the size of your bong hit, dude. Better not disappoint. Oh well, there it is. There it is. No, it was all right. No, I didn't, Jesus. Hey, I don't hit like a girl. This how big this bong is. Look at it. It's mostly gone. That's pretty good. I could do better. Because I inhaled. I've been smoking weed for like more than 10 years. What kind of weed? I don't know. I don't know what kind of weed. It's pretty good. It's not bad. It's I don't know, this kind. That kind. Rookie. A bowl will hold a 1/4 ounce. Well, okay, longer than 10 years. More like 15. Rookie. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. No way. That's not rookie. That's not rookie. MK Ultra. Sativa? No, I think it's indica. How much is weed in Canada. It was like $10 an out, $10 a gram before, and you know, usually I could get like a quarter for $60, but now it's more expensive in the store. So you can still get quarters for like $60, 70 in the store, but they're not that great. Don't matter legal or not. I've been smoking for 37 years. Oh yeah, exactly right. You know, it's like fuck it if it's legal or if it's not. It was better when it was illegal, to be honest. I last smoked weed 30 years ago. Call me. The stores sell swag. Yeah, the stuff is not very good in the stores. Not very good at all. Takeoff. I used to buy a pound. Legal here in Michigan or Minnesota. I don't know, Michigan, I think. And it was better when it wasn't. Yeah, you know, it is better. And like I had a couple dealers that came and drove right to my house. Now I need to go to somebody else's place, and it's further away, and it's just annoying. And it's like, and it's more of a fine, it's more of a risk now to sell. It's ridiculous. Hey Kelly, how's it going? You just missed my big bong rip on air. If you go back a little bit, you'll probably see it. She missed it. James, let's see here. Oh yeah, well I guess I'll read a little bit more of the story here. So once again, this is the story with the Aboriginal guy, and he's like, you know, talking about how the guy's white face reminded him of when he was younger. So when I saw the photo of the demonstration in Washington on January 18th, and a bunch of privileged white boys taunting a First Nations elder, it triggered old feelings from my past. So, you know, CBC is promoting fake news right here because they weren't taunting. There was no privileged white boys taunting anybody. Nick Sandman, the student who stood close to Nathan Phillips, later stated that he didn't mean to cause a confrontation, which he didn't. The native guy did. It's hard to believe that when you see the condescending smirk of white privilege. As an Indigenous person, I have seen it and I know what it stands for. So, you know, it's just more like, oh, as a native man, I'm a tracker of animals, and I can also see smirks, and I know what they mean, and I can read. You know, it was a white supremacist smirk. Three groups meet. The story began behind the photo is bewildering mix of three groups meeting in the same location. The boys from Covington Catholic School were there to take part in a March for Life anti-abortion protest. They ran into a small fringe group called the Black Hebrew Israelites, who hurled insults at passerbys, including the Covington boys and participants in the Indigenous March. And then they frame it, they're like, rather than ignore them, the Covington boys confronted them. So, you know, the boys, they should have just ignored them. That was the correct thing. Nathan Phillips, an Omaha elder and a former Marine veteran, so no longer a Vietnam veteran, it's a Marine veteran, positioned himself between the two groups and sang the American Indian Movement honor song. Phillips' action was in response to developing the confrontation and the need to diffuse it. He drew the attention of the Covington students to himself, and the resulting display of white privilege was the result. You know, this is just fake news, and CBC is running this. People are reading it, and they think like, oh, his white face was causing all of this, his expression. And like, you know, this was just released today, right? And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is bullshit. Lost in the whole mess was the fact that the Indigenous Peoples March was a major event to bring attention to the injustice that Indigenous peoples face across the globe, instead of the face of white privilege dominated the headlines. The students were wearing those now cliche hats from the Trump campaign saying, "Make America Great Again." You know, how are they cliche? This guy's an idiot. You're just an idiot. How are they cliche? They're not. What does he mean? The cliche hats. No, they're not. They're not cliche. What? Nowadays, they are a red flag for racism and intolerance. That's what you think. You know, it's so funny. It's like, they're like, well, you know, you got punched. You shouldn't have been wearing that fucking red hat. You did that on purpose to instigate violence. You know, you wore that hat on purpose to make me mad and to make me punch you. It's like, no, you're just an irrational, crazy person who attacks people because they support Trump. That's what the hat means. It means you support Trump, you fucking idiots. It means make America great again. It doesn't mean like white supremacy, but that's what the left has framed it as. But now that gives people justification to attack you. They're like, well, to me, it means the same thing as a hood from the KKK. So essentially, it's okay that I assault you or I attack you or I smear you and try to ruin your name, because to me, that hat represents evil and racism and bigotry. And you're like, I don't care what it means to you. It doesn't matter what it means to you. But the students were wearing those now cliche hats with the separation. And this guy's, he's just a retard. Like, he's just an idiot. So he says the cliche hats, and he's like, nowadays they're a red flag for racism and intolerance. With the separation of church and state, why were students representing a Catholic school wearing these hats? What? With the separation of church and state, why were students representing a Catholic school wearing these hats? Does this guy know what the separation of church and state is? Like, he obviously doesn't, because nowhere are you not allowed to wear to be in a Catholic school wearing Trump hats. What does this have to do with the separation of church and state? Like, why are you even letting this guy write articles for you? Like, he's honestly retarded. Indigenous elder role lost. The white boys. Look at the rhetoric. The white boys. Imagine I wrote like the black boys, the native boys were interviewed and exonerated in the eyes of the native public, right? This is his line though. The white boys were interviewed and exonerated in the eyes of the white public. The white public? So what does this mean? Like, they're making all this shit up. And they're like, the white public exonerated him. Oh, in the public sphere. It's like, no, a lot of people came out and retracted their statements because they lied about the kid and they bought this fake Aboriginal guy's story. And he said he was a Vietnam veteran multiple times. He lied about the interaction. He said they surrounded him when he went into the group, started the confrontation. And the white public gave these kids a free pass. It's like, what? What is that? What are you talking about? But they frame it like that, like all white people are a monolith and they all think the same. And they all like pardon these white boys for their transgressions on this native man. And you're like, no. First of all, I didn't think he did anything wrong to begin with. He did nothing wrong to begin with. He just stared at a Native American. But I guess as a white Trump supporter with a hat, you're not allowed to do that anymore. That's a no-no. You know, we got to really be careful as right-winger white people, because it's really easy to frame anything we do as negative, as bad. You know, like those two guys walking into that mosque, you know, that was enough to trigger like all these hate crime investigations and all this other bullshit. Because, yeah, they're white, but, you know, some Muslims walking around somewhere, yeah, it's not going to do the same thing. Nathan Phillips has been breathing too much refrigeration propellant. Yeah, this is live. This is live. Joseph Schmo. What is this? But, you know, I just hate the framing. The white boys were interviewed and exonerated in the eyes of the white public. But, like, just the black boys were interviewed and exonerated in the eyes of the black public. That sounds very racist, but this is okay, apparently. It was all the horrible mistake, and now they were receiving threats. The story was bent to be sympathetic to the boys. No, it's true. They're reporting on facts. The boys received threats. The story was bent to be sympathetic. That's what I mean. These people, they live in an alternate reality. It's like, all I saw was a bunch of propaganda and people trying to still justify the reaction to the boys. And this guy, he sees all these white people making excuses for these white boys or something because they came across new facts and new information that was like, oh, yeah, this guy's a liar. So, oh no, but the white public exonerated him. It's like, but it's just revisionist history, or revisionist, just recent history. The role of an Indigenous elder and the reason Indigenous people were present was lost. So, okay, so he's like, yeah, the role of the Indigenous leader and the reason Indigenous people were present was lost. But I looked this up, and this is the very first time those people went to protest or went to do this thing. So the media was reporting on it like, oh, he's just doing this annual thing to commemorate the Native American veterans, but nobody's asking any real questions. Nobody actually looked up to see, oh, do they actually do this every year? Oh, I just Googled it. I looked up. They're like, first time we're ever doing this march, the day before the Women's March on Capitol Hill, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what the hell? You can see a Nathan the McLaren. I'm not sure. What do you mean by that? You can see a Nathan the McLaren. What is that? I now smirk everywhere I go. 90 minutes, no trolls, some kind of record. Oh yeah, 90 minutes and no trolls. Yeah, right? It's probably because I got rid of a couple of them. So they're no longer here. I see Antifa hit the old person again, and I'm coming down there with a bat. Right, you know, how many, you know, people are so mad at this guy staring at the Native American, yet how many Antifa people have beaten old people with bats and sprayed them with mace that were like actual veterans, and nobody gives a shit. So, you know, it's all bullshit. It's just more stuff that they can go and condemn. Just like they condemned the two guys walking around the mosque. I think Rachel Notley came out and said something about it. And, you know, just so they can jump over it and be like, oh, we're against this bigotry that is going on. But, you know, those two guys shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have went in there and walked around because, you know, that was just stupid. And it doesn't look good. But, you know, we're going to see more and more of that in the future if nothing is done about this unrelenting horde of migration continues. You know, people are going to start doing more and more stuff like that. But, and especially with rhetoric like this coming out, this is clearly anti-white type rhetoric. This guy, you can tell who's writing this, just like fucking hates white people. Nathan Phillips, the Omaha elder, is back home, unheralded by the media. Unheralded by the media. They gave him multiple interviews before everybody else, like being sympathetic to him. Like, what are you talking about? Look at the CNN piece about him when it first happened. He's like, what are you? They even described the black Israelites on CNN. They're like, these black youths talking about the Bible and the Bible verses. You know, like it was all like it was all set to make him look good. And, you know, they just couldn't ignore all of the information coming out about him, that they had to retract their statements. And a lot of them are being sued, like that one Muslim senator or congressman is being sued or had to retract her statements. I forget exactly what she said, but, you know, so he goes, over the years, I have learned that white people are afraid of Indians and people of color. It's fear based on racism and fear of the unknown. You know, I always hear this same line. It's like, it's always fear on race and fear of the unknown. This is why they're racist. No, we're not racist because of fear of the unknown. I'm like this because Muslims are more likely to commit terrorist attacks. Different cultures, different races have different rates of crime. No. People were just noticing different trends in reality. Like, it's not fear and racism. It's if you're walking down the street and every time you get mugged, It's by a Filipino guy, right? A group of 5 Filipinos, because yeah, they're pretty small. So, you know, every time you walk down the street, white people don't bother you, black people don't bother you, women don't bother you, Arabs don't bother you, and every time you walk by a group of Filipinos, they fucking kick your ass or they steal your money and shit. Well, you're gonna have an aversion to Filipinos, and you're gonna think, oh, maybe I'm gonna cross the street when I see these groups of Filipinos up in the walking towards me. I know Filipinos, it's a bad. That's why I said 5 of them. That's why I said 5 Filipinos. You know, a group of Filipinos, right? So there's 5'2" Filipinos walking towards you, and you're like, shit, you know, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna cross the street. Is that because you're a racist, or is that because you're sick of Filipinos stealing your shit and stabbing you and stuff, right? No, you're gonna see. It's so funny that people are, because they don't do that, right? A lot of the times they don't do that. But if I say, oh, a black guy, we'd be like, oh, you're racist, you know. So I try to use like some other example to get people really to understand it. Be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, oh hey dude, how's it going, man? Right wing fee. But yeah, it's if Filipinos are always mugging you, you're gonna be worried about it. It's not because of fear and of the unknown. Oh, white people, we just don't know anything about people of color, and that's why we're racist and we're fearful and stuff. It's like, no. It's because we know a lot about them. That's why. It's you know, and yes, there's some racism that is, I guess you could say, from people because they're ignorant and stuff like that, and you know, sure, but generally, no. Like they frame it like, oh, it's all them, not us. We have nothing in this to make them have like preconceived notions about us, right? It's like, you know what I mean? But once again, people of color, or wait, never mind. What was this? Okay. Over the years, I've learned that white people are afraid of Indians and people of color. It's fear based on racism and fear of the unknown. This whole incident raises serious questions about the future of America. Really? Just that one incident raises like serious questions, like that white boy staring like that. Like, just think about what he's saying. This whole incident raises serious questions about the future of America. A white kid with a Trump hat staring at a Native American in the face raises serious questions about the future of America. Not the black Israelites that were like, fuck you, faggots. And so I'm probably going to get banned for saying that, or this video is going to get removed. But, you know, N-words, F-word, saying like a ton of shit. That wasn't a story. That wasn't anything. You know, this whole thing shouldn't have been a story to begin with. Some white kids staring at a native guy should have never been international news from the very beginning, but it was. What does that tell you? It tells you that the media is trying to craft a narrative. They're trying to make white people out to be bad, and you know, they ran with this story because they're like, oh, here's something. You know, this is the thing. There's so little actual racism coming from white people that they have to go and make a lot of shit up, and they have to read into a lot of things like this and blow it out of proportion to further their narrative about white supremacy. Because you know, there's not as many things that they would like to look at to be like, oh, here's an example of white supremacy, or here's one. So they have to make up all this stuff. They have to be like, every time a white person calls the police on a black person, it's because they want them to shoot and kill you, and this is why they're doing it. It's white supremacy, blah 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 blah, right? AJ Lissis is off white. Yeah, I'm only I don't know. I gotta do a DNA test. Who knows? Maybe I'm like I'm Iraqi or something, right? I could be, or I mean, you know, a terrorist. You're not prejudiced. You're post-judiced, or by a computer. and you address your contrast. Gillette adverts are pushing the anti-white agenda. Oh yeah, they're pushing it hard. If you watch that Gillette and you're aware of, like, and you pay attention to the race, and it's not even, I could say it's the anti-white agenda, but it's also probably them being afraid of alienating other groups, because white people, you can say a lot of shit about them. You can make fun of them on TV and make them look dumb and stupid, all that stuff, and they're still gonna like buy your products, right? But you cross Asian, black people, people of color and stuff, and if the commercial looks like it's framing like the black guy is being bad, then you're gonna get all these social justice warriors coming out and being like, oh, this is furthering the narrative of black men being thugs and criminals and blah, 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 sue, sue, sue. Oh, you need to hire a staff of diversity, and you need to fire your white people and hire people of color because they can't understand diversity because their skin color is wrong, and blah, 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 blah. So it's just safe to attack white people. It's just safe to shit on them and to appeal to these people and to try to make, and try their very best to make, black people and all these other people. It's like, and you look at white people, specifically white men, like, we treat our women the best in the whole fucking world. In the whole fucking world. Nowhere do you treat women better than Western countries do white men treat their women. Nowhere. In Asia and shit, like, that's pretty patriarchal and shit. Like, the guy makes all the fucking decisions. The woman's like, oh, just there, and he's like, you listen to me, right? In every other country, women don't have a lot of the same fucking rights that they have in our countries and shit. But they're treated, they're beat, they're raped, they're treated much worse. Like, the rape that's going on in Africa by a bunch of black people and stuff is much higher than what was going on. The sexual assault that black men and stuff commit, young black men commit, is pretty high and higher disproportionately than white people is in America and Canada. Same with Aboriginals, same with Muslims, but same. And then the whole Me Too thing was sparked by Harvey Weinstein. We didn't see a lot of fat fucking Jews in there either. It's only white, Anglo-Saxon or Western type men, right? That's the only people that it's okay to attack, because if you attack anybody else, they're gonna have a whole lobbyist group, because the only people that can't organize on behalf of themselves is white people. So you're gonna have an Asian Canadian Association, a Black Canadian Association, an Aboriginal Canadian Association, or this is something association. But yeah, you can't have a white something association fighting for white people, because they'll be like, that's fucking racist. Like, fighting for white people is essentially reducing immigration, and people are really against that. So they're like, oh, they want to, like, there was what was that woman that's opposite to Trump, that's running the Congress for the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi or something. She's like, oh, Trump wants to make America white again. That's what his immigration policies are doing. And it's like, yeah, they are. What is the problem with that? What is the problem with that? And the biggest problem, in my opinion, is veganism. It's veganism and all these fucking vegans. No, I saw Gordon's comment, and I was like, it's almost time for AJ to descend into an anti-vegan rant. And I was like, that's true. That's true. I was about to rip the indica. I should take another one. but those damn vegans. but yeah, well, I think that article, I think I finished it. Did I finish it? Oh, there's the last paragraph. The country is fractured by intolerance and racism. People of color, including Native Americans, now stand on one side of a country polarized by race. So One side of the country polarized by race. What does that mean exactly? America is most certainly not on its way to be great, if it ever was. You know, it's like, fuck you. Like, I'm not even American, but like, yeah, if it ever was, because America had slaves. And that means America was never great because slaves. Everybody had slaves. Fuck off. Like, we're going to constantly judge people by the standards of today. We're going to constantly do that. Like, no, but we're going to, like, you know, no, like, if we do that, literally nobody in history is a good person or did anything great, because they're like, oh, well, Alexander the Great killed a lot of people and we probably shouldn't talk about it because, you know, a lot of murder, a lot of death. You know, let's not talk about Rome. Let's not talk about Genghis Khan, who killed millions of people. You know, let's not, don't idolize him. You know, we should go to, the fucking, those people and tell them not to worship Genghis Khan and their fucking people that they have and their history and shit. You know, it's so stupid. And it's like, oh, if America was ever great, it was great. It was a great country. It was the freest country. And even though they had slaves, doesn't mean it still wasn't a better system than all of the other fucking systems that also had slavery, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Rome and Greece, you know, they had a form of democracy where some people were free, some people could vote. Yeah, it was not perfect. A lot of people, so there were slaves and shit. But guess what? That fucking society created some of the most, a lot of the things that we piggyback off of today, or essentially were the basis of the foundations of our society that we use today. You know, a lot of it is based on the Greeks, is based on the Romans and these philosophers. A lot of the people that, you know, like the French Revolution, all these different revolutions, were reading these people, were getting inspiration from these people, and they had a huge impact on us as well. But you know that, but if you look at them critically, hey, they had slaves. They had sex with like little boys and stuff. Like the Greeks and stuff, they had like little boy things that they fucked and stuff, right? Like, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, you know. But I can still appreciate Socrates, and I can still appreciate Aristotle and stuff, even though they had, like, I don't know, like maybe like little boy lover or something. That's fucked up by today's standards. Fucked up as shit. Doesn't mean you can't learn anything and learn something from their writings and stuff. What did I miss last night with the debate in the chat about free speech in that podcast? Oh, I don't know. There's one of your supporters where, you know, she said, or he said, I talked about your word news, right? And then they're like, oh, don't worry about it, Kelly. They're Nazis and blah, blah, blah. It's fine. So to me, it sounded like, oh, it's okay that they got censored and they got brought before the hate crime tribunal or the human rights tribunal and got like charged for, you know, information. It wasn't like, you know, I remember looking at a little bit of their stuff, and the stuff that I did see, it was mostly making fun of like George Soros and all this other shit. And it was like really trolly, you know, it was right on the edge there, but that doesn't mean that they deserve to be censored. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in free speech, you know, of all kinds, because it's a slippery slope. Once you start being like, well, these guys were hateful enough and we need to censor them, you know, the new sub, maybe one of Julie's. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, it's I was just arguing with them because I was like, you know, they were like, no, I do support free speech. But I'm like, no, you don't. You don't support free speech, because if you did, then regardless of what these people say, even if it was anti-Semitic and anti-women and whatnot, because they were charged with being like anti-feminist. You know, I saw something on Reddit where apparently I think Stephen Harper implemented some law in 2014 that was helped the precursor, you know, putting this or charging this guy and stuff, right? But it's crazy that, you know, I think that people should be allowed to question these things. And like, the Holocaust and all this other crap, right? Or send messages or news around that, you know, people dislike, right? Just don't read it. Do we really need to fine these people $5,000 and put them away for potentially, I think, 16 weeks in prison? That seems excessive. And I don't want to live in a country like Germany where we're putting people away for speech, because it starts with, oh, well, these guys deserved it. And then it goes to, well, who's the next group of people that say stuff almost like him? Well, it's only a matter of time before it reaches people like me and other people that do say shit that could be construed as anti-Islamophobic, racist, anti-Semitic, or whatever. Like, you know, there's a lot of calls. There's one article I had, and I was going to bring it up because, once again, the National Post really pushes a lot of this anti-Semitism stuff. A global rise in anti-Semitism can turn back the clock even in Canada. But they keep pushing, even after the Pittsburgh thing, is for Canada to adopt the classification of anti-Semitism from this group. I forget what it's called, but what I remember, I think I read into that, and I'm pretty sure it means, like, you know, if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If you, like, say, it's just like the very broad terms, and you're like, you know, no, I don't want any more restriction on free speech, regardless of what it is, even if it sounds like it's whatever it is, you know, racist or whatnot. Like, I'm a free speech absolutist. That doesn't mean I think, oh, so you think you can scream fire in a movie theater? Is that what you think? It's like, no, you know, it's like, maybe people should have the right to do that. But, like, you know, you'll suffer the fucking consequences of it. People will be really mad at you. They'll probably kick your ass. They'll probably beat you up at the end of the fucking movie when you go out, right? And kick your fucking ass, or, you know, you start a commotion, right? Like, you know, calls to action, free speech are also two different things. But Faye Soros is front man, you know, and and now any type of criticism of Soros is automatically deemed as anti-Semitic. If you talk about Soros, like in this article I was reading, the silence as violence, they have a picture of the graffiti, and a lot of it is like Soros. Some guys they put, this is the hateful graffiti that was left around Winnipeg. Lost white civilizations. That's hateful graffiti. Lost white civilizations. So, you know, what's wrong with that? How is that hateful? Isn't it kind of true? Like, they keep telling us every day, you're not having enough kids, so we need to replace you with immigrants to pay for old people. But then, oh, well, if you talk about it, this is hate speech against minorities, because, you know, it's true. And inevitably, you know, if people realize that they're being replaced, what are they going to do? They're going to stop immigration. And of course, that's going to get these people to frame it like it's very hateful, because they don't want people to stop immigration. They want us to be replaced. That is their goal. That is their plan. They're going to keep pushing at it no matter what. What the fuck was I reading there? I like lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the anti-Semitism, London, Ontario gamble. Oh yeah. Also, there's this priest that was getting money from a bunch of people to sponsor Syrians, and he 438,000 meant to sponsor Syrians. He spent on gambling, and this guy is like a refugee or something, Amar Sakah, from like Iraq. So what does he do? He takes a bunch of Canadians' money that they think, these Catholic people and religious people's money that they think is going to be used for refugees, and he goes and spends it on himself. Just takes advantage of stupid Canadians. And I don't feel bad for them either, because it's like, why aren't you helping the homeless people in Canada? Why are you helping refugees that have nothing to do with Canada? Like, oh, you're so hateful. You're so mean. Have a heart. No, you have a heart. You have a heart to the fucking people that live here. Like, what people that have contributed for generations, that have lived here for generations. You have a heart. Why aren't you helping them? Oh, well, they had their chance and blah, blah, blah. You know, no, they need help. Help them. Go around and help the fucking veterans that you see on the street sitting there, because I've seen plenty of them, begging for money. Help those people instead of buying goddamn hotel rooms to house refugees. And these people, these refugees, a lot of them, they're getting, you know, they go to gyms, they get to go to pools, they get maid service. You think people in shelters have that? No, they don't. And a lot of these people are Mexicans coming in too, because Trudeau removed the visa requirement for Mexicans in 2016. So we've had like a 1,000% increase of these people just flying over to Canada and not leaving and being like, well, we claim asylum, right? And it's so insane. We just let it happen. And these people, they're not going to do anything about it. It's not because they're just dumb and ignorant. And it's not because Trudeau is just so stupid. And like, yeah, he is stupid. But they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're lying to us if they're saying any different. And, you know, I don't buy the stupid, you know, like it's like George Bush. You know, he played that fucking card like, oh, I'm just a bumbling idiot. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, you are stupid, but you were the result. You killed like hundreds of thousands of fucking people as results of your fucking policies, and has, you know, pretty much started a domino effect that is still affecting us to this fucking very day. Oh, but I'm just a bumbling idiot. Blah, 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 blah. And now now everybody loves him. He goes away for a few years, comes out, says, Trump is a bad man. He's a meanie. You know, fucking McCain. Luckily, that piece of shit fucking died. I'm so happy when he died. I was like, hopefully he suffered a painful death. Like, I don't care. Oh, how could you say that? He's a human being too. Oh, sure he is. Do you think that he thought of you as a human being? Do you think that this warmongering fuck that would send your kids to die for stupid fucking reasons, for no reason overseas, do you think he cares about you and your fucking kids? No, he doesn't. So fuck that guy. Fuck people like George Bush. Fuck people like his dad. Fuck all those neocon motherfuckers, because they don't care about you. They want you. You're just a number to them. So when I see these people die, I'm happy about it. I'm like, this is great. Hopefully they fucking suffered to feel a little bit of the misery that these motherfuckers cause on innocent people, innocent Muslims overseas in the Middle East that have nothing to do with anything, just getting killed, right? That's unacceptable. That's bullshit. But they don't care. They don't give a shit. And then I'm the racist one. I'm the racist one because I don't want to go into different countries and kill innocent fucking brown people because I don't want to do that. I'm the fucking racist. Oh, Trump wants to pull out of Syria. Oh, this is bad. This is a bad thing. No, it isn't. He's also working to get out of Afghanistan and doing a deal like, you know, with like, I don't know, a ceasefire with like the Taliban or something like that. But essentially they'll be able to pull out, you know. So, you know, but that's not going to be, oh, if Obama did any of these things, it'd be head like, you know, news, but he wouldn't do anything. He wanted to stay in Syria. He wanted to do a regime change with Assad, and you know, there you go. Gordon Ahmed Hussein, you're just a troll, Anarchor. You're a troll, and if you say Ahmed Hussein is a hard worker, he's working hard to get a lot of fucking people into our country, I guess. Obama destroyed Libya. Yeah, right. Destroyed Libya. Now there's a huge slave trade of brown people, Arabs stealing black Nigerians that are trying to cross into fucking Europe to stay illegally. So I'm like, I don't really care if you become a slave if you're trying to cross into the fucking country illegally to begin with. You shouldn't have done that. You should have stayed in your country and made it great again instead of fucking crossing the border, risking becoming a slave by a bunch of crazy Muslims and trying to get into Europe with all the nice, evil, white supremacist white people, right? Isn't it so funny? You know, people, they close their eyes to reality or something. It's like these people, oh, like, all these articles every day. I say, oh, white supremacy, you're white racist. Oh, you're so mean to people of color. But every day there's people risking their lives, risking to become slaves in Libya to be surrounded by the safety of white people, right? Yeah, they don't want to come and be with us per se, but they want to live in a safe society that we've created. Oh, well, you've only created that safe society because you're an imperialist and you colonized and you stole all your wealth from Africa and blah, 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 supremacy, racism, oppression, yada, 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 yada. Give us your shit. Give us your shit. You stole it. You're hateful people. Give us money. Even then, and then, yeah, they never go back home. They never go back to the country that they fucking left. And you're like, people are just are going to get sick of this eventually. And hopefully more and more people just like, no, okay, fuck you. I don't care. I'm not going to buy this white guilt bullshit you're trying to push on me. It's like, no, people need to start addressing IQ differences and be like, the world is never going to be equal. There's never going to be equal distributions of men and women at the highest sections of intelligence, at highest sectors of intelligence. It's mainly just men, right? And that's just the fucking way it is. And there's differences in races, and there's always going to be different outcomes in their societies. They're going to be able to achieve different things, and that doesn't mean there's no exploitation. That doesn't mean there's no things that are going wrong that could be averted and changed to make their lives better. That doesn't mean there aren't people exploiting countries in Africa, and that doesn't mean that like the Chinese. So it's a nuanced thing, but nobody wants to talk about biology and the differences that people have innately. And it's not racist to say that or anything like that, because if you just think about it logically, if you believe in evolution, which most people probably do, if you understand evolution, then just inherently that there's going to be differences in groups when you measure them, right? We all know this, that there's differences in individuals, right? But just by the way that evolution works, you know that it's literally impossible. It's impossible that all groups in society are going to be exactly equal. And that's why, it's complex discussion, because what is white, right? What is white? And that's why it comes down to, yes, it is a social construct, because there is differences between French people, English people, German people, Finnish people. Now they have more of a culture that has been recently, and their genes are more related. But like I said, there's a difference in, and then same with Africa. There's lots of diversity in Africa. And it's not, you can't just say, all Africans are this smart, right? Or all people, because there's a lot of different cultures that have not interacted with each other for thousands of years, have not bred with each other, that are different. So, that's when it's hard to just say black, white, yellow, brown, you know what I mean? But generally, it's still they still do apply these things, white and black and whatnot. They still have some credibility and credence. And yeah, you can look at the numbers more directly, but on average, if I've heard this from Stefan Molyneux, and I agree, it's like if the IQ of your nation isn't above like 90%, 95, then having a society with free markets and a small government and without like a mass, what's going on in a lot of their countries, is going to be pretty hard to achieve. It's the only countries that have created freedom and created societies with wealth and property rights and all this other shit have been white countries, have been white people. There has not really been created anywhere else. So what are we supposed to think about what's going to happen to the future of Canada if we get replaced? If you go to China and you replace China with a bunch of Mexicans, it's not going to be China anymore. It's not going to be China anymore. If you replace Canada, if you replace all the Westerners with a bunch of Easterners and people from different countries with vastly different cultures and different levels of IQ, we're not going to have Canada anymore. We're not going to have the same rights. We're not going to have the same freedoms. We're not going to have the same level of, ingenuity. Also because of the fact that in a multicultural society, there's less cohesion. There's less working together, right? Like even if let's just say you get a bunch of people from, you get all the smartest people from all these different groups to live in Canada, and they all have really high IQs, because that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're doing a massive brain drain on the world. We're stealing all of their rich people, their smart people, and bringing them here. And that's not actually good. That's not a good thing to do. We should be letting them keep their smart people to help their countries become better. But we keep stealing them, and we're like, oh, this is so great. This is so great. They're coming in and becoming our doctors and doing all these jobs. It's like, yeah, but what about the people in their country? Like, what about them? We're taking all of their, now they're going to be dependent in the future. Now you're taking away any of their chances of like creating a functioning economy and government away from them, because they're all coming to Western countries to come live and get fat off of the wealth that we have, right? So, we would be better not letting so many people in. It would be better for them. It would be better for us. And, we deserve to have our culture too. We deserve to survive. We deserve to be the majority. We have that right. We have that right to do that in Canada. And for anybody to say we don't, it's like, who the fuck are you? Did you come here and did you build up Canada from absolutely nothing? Because that is what it was. It's not like the Aboriginals had a bunch of skyscrapers here before white people came. Okay. They came here, they cultivated the land, built it up from absolutely nothing, and built all of the services and freedoms that the people are coming to live and exploit today. So, they have every right to have ownership of that. It comes back to inheritance. And, this is why these socialist Marxists, they hate inheritance, because it is pretty much the basis, one of the basis of property and property rights as well. Like passing things down onto your next generation and not divvying it up to the group. Like throughout all of history, we've all there are some natural type of rights that we do have. That's why people call them natural rights, because even animals, when they die, or if they have like kids around, they'll leave the den to the fucking kid. Like animals understand property rights and protecting their den and their place and shit. And you even see like these wolves and their patterns when they don't interact with each other, because they mark their territory. They understand territory, and they all don't cross into their boundaries, and they all stay out of their own boundaries and hunt within their own territory. And the only time you see people move from their territory is when there is a lack of resources. So when there's a lack of resources, this is when you see war happening, right? This is why it's like, we all respect property rights. The only time people start to violate property rights typically comes in situations of famine, when there's not enough to go around, and then, or, your population gets bigger, so it forces you to grow your borders, and then eventually that might hit into somebody else's borders. Then that's how fucking wars probably initially started. Like little towns growing and close to somewhere else, and then for a town to survive, you need a lot more than just that little town. You need like many square kilometers to hunt and whatnot. And if other people are coming in and starting to hunt in your area and take your food, then that is your property, and you have to protect it, because if you don't, you will die, because they'll have no food. They'll have all the food. It's just basic kind of common sense, in a sense that, that's why these people that, like some of the founders said, these are self-evident. They're self-evident rights. Like it's self-evident that you can protect yourself, right? It's self-evident, because it's like, you know, if somebody's punching you and punching you in the face, like you expect to just put your hands behind your back and let them beat you in the face. No, like, you know, you hit an animal, they're going to retaliate. Oh, AJ must have borrowed some speed from Ronnie Cameron. Epic long stream. Yo, yeah, fucking Ronnie does some long streams, but then he's like just arguing with his chat about his black girlfriend or something. It's funny. Worked today, then had a PPC meeting. Oh, nice. Just Google a speech written by Winston Churchill titled Zionism versus Bolshevism, a struggle for the soul of the Jewish people. To me, it explains a lot. Yeah, I got to read more on Churchill. I've heard like he was pretty good, and I think I have a couple of his books that I think a biography. So if anybody's got any questions, just throw it in the chat there. I'll kind of go up here. Time for a rip, a manly rip. Hey, that was a manly rip. Okay, Claude, I see you asked a question here. If you're still in here. That is why those Catholic kids thing was such big news, trying to prevent white kids growing up with balls. Right. Yeah, I agree. You know, it's just trying to get them to be like, you know, scared to confront anybody. And they've been doing this for a year or so now. That's why they're promoting all this like, oh, white people calling the cops on people of color, and oh, we need, and then they pretty much get their lives ruined. A lot of the times, like that one lady, she wouldn't let that black guy in her building because this is like, he just moved in there and she lost her job. She lost everything. She was called a racist, got death threats. And it's for bullshit. It's to try to scare white people to get them to stay in their place, right? It's all about getting them to stay in their place, just like what they're doing in Europe, because they don't have freedom of speech there, right? So they can go and, you know, knock on your fucking door if you say some anti-immigrant shit. But in here in America and in places where they do have freedom of speech, they need to get them other ways. They need to teach them lessons in other ways. So destroying their life, doing stuff like this is the way that they do it here, as opposed to in UK, they'll put you in prison or something. Do I hunt? No, I don't hunt. My dad hunts a lot, but I got to start. I want to learn how to hunt. I've shot a gun, you know, I know how to shoot guns and stuff, but no, I haven't really done much hunting. But my dad shoots like 1 or 2 deer a year, and he just gives me a bunch of his deer meat. I got some deer meat in the freezer right now. Hey, AJ, Rev Can is the devil. Rev Can, Revenue Canada. Yeah, Revenue Canada is shit. Oh, I don't need one in my space anymore. The hunts for cheap weed. Oh, yeah. Should I take a bong rip? Should I take another bong rip, guys? Old white guy said my other one was a pussy one or something. Oh, there it is. I see AJ as Aragorn. Oh, yeah. Aragorn. That's funny. From Lord of the Rings. You know what? That's one of my first books I started reading that got me into well, I gotta get something. The first book that got me into reading was The Hobbit. I read The Hobbit, and then that got me hooked because I was like, this is so great. And then I read Lord of the Rings. I read all that. Those were like the first books. Scroll up for context to my earlier comment of Lord of the Rings. Oh, let's see here. Chupa, get out of here, you cunt. AJ, your beard and long hair are pretty awesome. All terrorist jokes aside, you have good hair, Lord of the Rings-esque. Oh, yeah, Lord of the Rings. Oh, thank you. That's a compliment because, like I said, that was one of my favorite books growing up. I watched all the movies. Chupa, this is not for you. It's full of fucking resin. Stupid cat. TV show 100 is badass. 100. I've never seen that. 100. The Secret of OG. That's good. Fag, 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 fag. You're a fag. How dare you call me a fag? You're the faggot. Faggot? Don't delete it. Leave it. Leave it. Just, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. If he spams more, then maybe, but you know, I'm cool with insults. Just don't spam the fucking chat and shit constantly. So then all I see is fag, fag, fag. You know, it's like, why am I a fag? Explain to me why I'm a fag. I'm willing to hear. I'm willing to hear. You know, I'll hear your explanation. I think you're wrong. Without chat context, that must have sounded amazing. Fishing is as good. Oh yeah, I like fishing. I used to fish all the time with my buddies and stuff. We go after school, or my dad loves fucking fishing whenever I go there. What a geek. Night, everybody. It's 3 a.m. here. Oh, sorry about that, Mandy. Have a good night. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you stayed, as long as you did, even though it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. He's a stupid troll. He's announcing his presence. Gee, your hair looks terrific. Yeah. Oh, thank you. No, I like fishing though. Ban him like Owen Benjamin. What was Owen Benjamin banned people, or is Owen Benjamin banned? I fly fish here in BC. Oh man, I would love to fly fish. Honestly, that would be something pretty cool to try out. And what kind of fish do you get when you're fly fishing? Like small fish? Nothing wrong with being a Greek. Yeah, there's plenty of things wrong with being Greek. Lots of things wrong with being Greek. Damn, I hate the Greeks. I'm out, AJ. Take care. Oh, have a good night, man. See you later, buddy. Canadian 416. Watch the Owen Benjamin doc, Porcelain Maid. Familiar, and where are you at, dude, in BC? 12 pounders. Oh, wow. 12 pound. You can get 12 pounders from fly fishing. That's pretty good. Got no one to go ice fishing with. Yeah. Trouts. Yeah, I got to do that. I'd love to go fucking ice or what do you call it? Fly fishing. Ice fishing. We just a timer screen. Is it can you hear me? Can people hear me still? Good. You're back? I'm back. All right. Thumbs up. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. If you come back, hit the thumbs up. Share stream. Share and hit thumbs up. I need more for my toque fund. Can't talk about fly fishing. This is what is happening. Buffy the Stream Slayer. I know she's a bitch. She's a bitch. She destroyed old white guy streams continuously. We have contact, Houston. Why did the internet censor your hoot? I didn't take it yet. I waited for it. Did you put another loony in the cable machine? Fuck you, LA Fant. Fuck you for saying that. Okay, Few, thanks for waiting for us. Oh, yeah, I know. I wasn't going to do that without anybody watching me, Press 1 for YouTube tried to send AJ into Oz and keep his little cat too. Yeah, I know. My cat's he's just meowing upstairs now and like, meow, meow, being a bastard because I'm not giving him attention. Well, you have inspired me to roll one. I stepped away for a bit. How much money did Rainey end up giving you? $2,000? Yeah, man, he gave me at least $2,000. You know, I really need this. I really need a new hat. As you can see, it's deteriorating. It's like losing its content. But it looks like 30 people. Enough. Will you ever do a call-in segment? Yes, I want to do a call-in segment. I just got to figure out how to send invites. When I was talking about this, I think there was a lot of buffering going on. But I was going to say, I need to figure out how to send the stream thing out. Like, I was going to ask Kelly, like, how do you, like, in this, could I send it out right now if I go to, like, you know, like, just put it in the chat or something? Couldn't I put it in the chat and people just text me after? Okay. Right, because then, yeah, I got to figure it out. Or unless I open up another page or something, I guess I could probably do. And then look at the live stream. That's all I really got to figure out. Then I want to start having guests. And I want to start having guests. And I want to have, like, what do you call it? Do you go under video manager or live streaming? Oh, wait. 1 sec here. Maybe I'll do that a little bit later. Okay, let me see. Live streaming. Let me just check this quickly here. Just quickly. Mega Bomber. What the fuck? Stealth stream. Okay, let me go back to here. Let's see here. What do you say? Icon at the top, a little person, then copy and paste the link or email it to someone. Canadian Waynes. Okay. Okay, so there's enough people here. You know, it's not a huge one. Is everybody still here? It's not buffering anymore. No volume? Is it no volume? Use Hangout. Clear? Okay. Through the nose. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay. I'm not putting it through the nose. It doesn't look that big, but it's huge. It's huge. Sweet Tokes. Oh, yeah, man. It was good, but I got to look at that again. Oh, yeah. You were saying if I open another page and I go to what? Events, community, channel. I'll just text you afterwards. Figure it out. I'm pretty much a boomer. Maybe it's my feed. Are you I stopped smoking weed a long time ago. Yeah. I should cut back. Never smoked so much as a cigarette, so watching you do that was like watching a scientist in action. Cat, you fucking cat. Bastard. You're stoned now, so enjoy the buzz. I'm beginning to think everyone I follow smokes dope. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's just like a Canadian thing so far. Smoke the cat. No, I'm not going to smoke the cat. Dude, I got his tail. I'll smoke it. No. When I go to critiqued use Hangouts, are you wearing a yarmulke under that beanie? No. No yarmulke. None. Crazy. It's long hair. I gotta cut it. It's crazy. Look at that. No yarmulke. Not Jewish yet. I'm not Jewish yet. We got a turtle high before. A dope harassment is no place for a kitty. Bubbles. Oh, Bubbles. I miss the Trailer Park Boys. I used to watch them all the time, and they were a good show. They won't let you, dude. Yeah, I know. They won't. I know that's the thing, right? They're like, oh, we're just a minority. It's because you don't let anybody in. No, because it's so hard to become a fucking Jew. It's impossible. They're like, oh, you gotta do all this shit, and whereas a Muslim, you just gotta say a few words and you're a Muslim, and then but you can't leave because they'll kill you. So that's not a good thing. But at least it's easier to become Muslim. That's why they're growing so fast, and also by the sword and stuff, and through their history. Like that's a funny thing too. It's like Jesus spread his message through like peace essentially, and then Allah not so much Muhammad, especially like saying that he fucks like 9-year-olds and shit. I made my own show with Sirius from the Trailer Park Boys. Check it out on YouTube. It's called Hard Times in the Maritimes. I'll check it out, man. So it's called Hard Times in the Maritimes. So that's on YouTube. That's East Coast Canadian made that. And you said it's from the Trailer Park Boys. Okay, yeah, I'll check that out. I love the Trailer Park Boys. Good luck with my kitty, or with your kitty gator. Hey Jay, have you seen Letter Kenny? No, I don't know what that is. I haven't seen that. Everyone should be atheist. Well, I don't know. I used to think that, but not so much anymore. Like, I'm an atheist, but I don't necessarily think everybody should be an atheist. I think that what are you going to replace like the people's morality with, essentially? Because a lot of people, they kind of need to be told what is good and what is bad. I'm not saying everybody who's religious also needs that. I'm not saying that either. Those people need that, but there are some people, and there are people with like are low IQ people going to be better off with or without religion? I don't know. In the time being, I think yes, but if we have some type of thing that they can, substitute their morals with, then yeah. Do you ever plan on getting married or having kids? I'm assuming you're trying to say. Yeah, I want to get married one day and have kids for sure. Calling me low IQ? No. No, I'm not calling you low IQ, but there's plenty of high IQ people that are Christian and stuff. Plenty, lots of them. But like there are plenty of low IQ people that maybe could benefit from it, and maybe it wouldn't be good to remove it, because it's like, what are you going to replace it with, right? Like a lot of communists and Marxists want to get rid of religion, so then they can replace it with the state, and that will be the religion. Or, what are a lot of atheists nowadays? 80% of them are leftist, and they fight for environmentalism and the government. So their religion is the environment and the government. It's climate change scientists and the government, and they listen and they proselytize that and whatnot. And and until people can figure out how to be moral without having some type of religious text or something to help back that up, I think you kind of need religion to some extent, right? And that's just kind of my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. And I also think that it has many benefits too. There are lots of things that, sure, you could point that, oh, they made a lot of things, they made a lot of claims on reality that turned out to be wrong, right? But there are a lot of things that they claimed that, or that they've learned throughout history, that work. You know, read the 10 Commandments, right? Read the 10 Commandments and tell me how many of those you really disagree with, right? How many of those do you really think is a bad idea? And if people actually lived by those standards, you know, like not coveting your neighbor, not stealing, not murdering, not doing any of these things, if people truly, you know, lived by those standards, the world would be a better place, right? And, you know, a lot of our civilization and a lot of our, you know, the way, you know, humanitarianism is essentially just Christian. It's pretty much just Christianity without the religious aspect of it, because they essentially believe all of the same shit anyways, but without the God aspect involved. That's where they get, and they base a lot of their morals, their morality off of. It's through thousands of years of learning, people learning what works and what doesn't work. A man and a woman works. Promoting gays to go around and trannies and all that, which I'm not against gay people. I'm fine with people that are gay and shit, but promoting degeneracy in society is not good for society. That's why they, you know, were against it generally. And that's why they, you know, tried to focus a lot on keeping men and women together and married, and how it was a union, and how they weren't supposed to be divorced, because we see the results of single mothers in society right now. We see the results of not having stable families, which Christianity and a lot of different religions help keep people intact. So, you know, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And when I first became an atheist, I was like kind of gung-ho, like, we need to get rid of religion, blah, blah, blah. It's the worst idea ever. Everything is because of religion. But really, you know, that's just maybe some aspect. It can be used to do horrible things. And the fact that people, you know, get their morals off of something that is, you know, it isn't based on fact sometimes, or you can point to areas where it's like, oh, well, you know, they said the world is 6,000 or whatever, you know, you can point to things that are untrue, but some of the stuff in there is true. But it's like, yeah, you would rather base what you believe off something that is backable. That's why, you know, is there such a thing as objective truth? Is there such a thing as objective morality? And if there is, then if we learn what that thing is, some type of fairly objective morality that everybody can agree on, that is right and wrong, and that we have like a good reasoning to follow these things, not just because God said it's bad, right? You know, like that's the thing, you know, it's, if you just believe something because God said it's bad, other than knowing like, why is murder bad? Why is theft bad? What does it do in society? Why is it bad? Like philosophically, you know, what you know what I mean? So I think there are a lot of things in religion that we do need to keep onto. But I know I missed a few questions there. I kind of went on a little rant, but I'll go up here. Let's see. You wearing a yarmulke? Oh yeah, I read that. Okay. Do you ever plan on getting married? AJ jokes, AJ messing with you. All good. Oh, I know you're messing with me, Kelly. But that is, you know, something that people do ask, you know, and I don't want to offend Christian people, obviously, by being like, oh, you're just a dum-dum and you can't be nice without Christianity. You know what I mean? I don't actually think that, really, you know what I mean? But I think it wouldn't be good to just remove religion from society. But do you think you kick Andy Worski's ass? Yeah, I would kick Andy Worski's ass for sure, definitely. 100%. 100%. Justin Trudeau's dumber than a rock, so you're still a genius. Climate change is a think, jackass. In this day and age, religion would dictate morality. Religion has created more issues than benefits. Well, that's just a statement. That's not really an argument, right? You're not prove to me that religion has created more issues than benefits? Would we be alive today if it wasn't for the belief in religion, right? Like, the thing is, try to get a bunch of atheist people to go and kind of sacrifice themselves. It's going to be kind of difficult, but to get a bunch of people to sacrifice themselves on behalf of God and to fight for something, you know, it's a little bit easier. And sometimes maybe that belief in the God, especially earlier on in our evolution, probably led to us surviving than not surviving. The cultures that developed some type of belief system and the ones that didn't survived. Because as we see, all cultures have a religion. So all cultures developed a religion, and there's no like atheist cultures going around. You know what I mean? So the ones that didn't believe in something or didn't have a reason to do certain things on whatever belief that they had died out, you know, even if it was an irrational belief, right? You can believe something that is false, but it can have a positive result anyways. You can believe eating glass is bad because it promotes Satanism, and that's just untrue, but it prevents you from eating glass, so you don't get your insides cut up and stuff. So, you know, these untrue things could still be true in a sense, or still be useful for society and stuff. But that doesn't mean we should continue being that. We should, yeah, if you can actually understand why glass does this, that's better than having you know, a God just telling you that. But in this day and age, religion would dictate morality. Religion has created more issues. Do you think you could beat Andy? Okay, AJ. One sec. Sorry, I missed some stuff here. AJ, I dig your rational mind. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Marry me, AJ. Oh, I'll marry you, LA. Cats are awesome pets. I agree. Cat, he be crazy dog lady. If I had even bits more money, bigger. Yeah, dogs. I like dogs. I love dogs too, right? But it's like they're just harder to maintain. You know, it's like if you had, yeah, it's just you gotta walk them every day and all that stuff. And whereas cats, they sleep like 3/4 of the day, so they're more chill. I only got one cat. Why does religion have to be about faith? Why does God just know himself and put an end to this religious and human conflict? Yeah, but you know, you're asking, like, yes, you know, you can argue with Christians. This is like an argument against Christianity in why you believe something. But saying that, like, why doesn't he step in and stop all these human conflicts and all this stuff, right? I don't know. I'm not an expert on Christianity or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure there's like a free will aspect to it, and it's, you know, how can you be good without the potential of being bad, right? You know, you can only be good if you have the potential of being bad. So, you know, it's not really a good argument in my opinion against a religious person, because they have a lot of stuff that they could say against that, and it's like, oh well, you know, that's not the question. The question should be, is religion useful for today? It's not whether is it factually correct. Does it make sense that God doesn't just stop all suffering and all that? It's all kind of irrelevant, right? The real question should be, do we need it or do we don't? Is it beneficial or is it not? You know what I mean? And you can make the argument against or for, but I used to think, you know, it needs to be kindly pretty much eradicated, but now I'm starting to think a little bit differently. And I think that, you know, I see a lot of Christian people that I agree with a lot more than atheist people. And I see a lot of atheist people that are, the majority atheists like me are fucking leftists, far leftists, that vote for like Hillary Clinton and AOC, that say bullshit, nonsense, garbage, And a lot of the Christians that I see support freedom of speech. They support small government. You know, look at the Christian party platform in Canada and compare that to the party platform of any other party or the Islamic Party of Ontario, and you'll see how fucking small government it is. And I would vote for them above a lot of other parties. You know, like they have a better party or a better platform than like Bernier, or like just as good, right? So I'm like, you know, why wouldn't I fucking like? And why do they think this way? Maybe it has something to do with their religion, because a lot of these atheist people seem to be crazy environmentalists that want to fucking destroy our economies on behalf of these scientists that are saying we're all going to die in 12 years. Oh, I saw a donation there. I missed one sec. Okay, there we go. Where do you want to see your channel go? Keep it up. Thank you, Voltron, man. I appreciate that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just want to keep making content, keep making videos, and if I get more popular, that's great. If I get more viewers, that's awesome. But you know, I don't really have any real direction. Like when I started making videos, I didn't like kind of have like a real like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm like, I'm just gonna make videos and put them out and see if I get any reaction, you know, and or people like them, and you know, and I always like to see things. I want to give my opinion about them, and you know, sometimes I think my opinion is a little bit different, and I don't want to just, you know, regurgitate the same thing. And I'm sure I do to a large extent as well, you know, say things that people have already said, and you know, you can't really help but do that because you just kind of absorb a lot of stuff that you're watching and stuff. But you know, there's just a lot of stuff that I see that really ticks me off, that I want to say something about, that I want to bring attention to. But thank you for the donation, Voltron. I really appreciate that. Let's see there. Countries with large atheist populations have the highest IQs. Yeah, I agree. And that's true, right? So is it beneficial to make a bunch of third worlders atheists? Or is it beneficial to have them have a religion, right? Is that the question? You know, because obviously, yeah, people with higher IQs tend to move towards atheism. I agree, but that doesn't mean it's better or not for society. It just means smart people become atheists or something. I'm not saying all smart people are atheists, and not and religious people are not a lot of genius religious people, and you know, there are a lot of different like look at Richard Dawkins and a lot of stuff that he's been saying about Christianity lately. Like, you know, he's pretty like an insufferable leftist a lot of the times. Like I used to love the guy, and I read a lot of his books, and you know, watched a lot of his lectures and his debates and stuff. But you know, to a large extent, yeah, he's just like, oh, these hateful. He's like a Remainer in something in the UK, right? And he's like, oh, all these people that want to leave are hateful bigots and yada yada yada. But his stance on Christianity has kind of changed a little bit. And he's like, well, there is a lot that is actually good. And he even considers himself like a Christian atheist, right? Because he does value a lot. He likes a lot of the, you know, the culture of it, and the, you know, whatnot. But we need a home. Consider doing a fixed live stream, maybe 6-8 on Saturdays. 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays. Yeah, maybe, right? Start doing those types of streams. Let's see here. The bottom bell curve. Nobody knows a thing, really. I guess your Sky Daddy could be real. Right. You know, like at the end of the day, see, I'm not one of those atheists that are like, no, there is no God. Because I'm like, when you make a positive assertion and you start to say there is no God, now the burden of proof is on you to prove that there is no God. So good luck. Good luck doing that. So the best thing that you can say is that you don't know. Like, I choose not to believe because I have no evidence to believe, but I don't know, and there's a possibility that there is one, right? But there are some people that are like anti-theists, and people like atheism is unstoppable and stuff. I don't think he makes the same, fallacious arguments saying that God doesn't exist, because, anybody who's ever argued against, atheism or against religious people, like, you don't make these types of positive statements because now you have to prove it. So you don't say stuff like, oh no, he doesn't exist. You say stuff like, I have no reason for him to believe he exists, so I choose not to believe he exists. A key reason why many people in third world countries are highly religious because they lack education and live in poverty. Well, there's lots of educated people that are Christians. So how do you explain that? There are lots of very educated Christians and Muslims and Sikhs and all this other stuff. So how do you explain that, right? People, why are they religious, right? And like I said, that doesn't prove anything, right? Doesn't prove anything. Because they lack education. Well, maybe it has something to do with their IQs. Education can only help you so much. You can't make a Chinese person taller by like feeding them a lot of food. They're always going to be short, and they're never going to be in the NBA. So it's kind of like, really, are you sure about that? Oh, if we just educate people, we've been trying to do that. We've been trying to equalize things for generations or decades now in America, in Canada, with the Aboriginals and stuff. But the average IQ of Aboriginals is what, like in the 80s? So we're never going to equalize this shit with education. It's always going to be disproportionate, and they're always going to blame white people for this disproportionality, because it's pretty hard for people to face that there are differences in races, and that's a difficult thing for people to overcome. And I can understand, like, that does sound like I wouldn't, but it's kind of like the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? Like, if it's the truth, it's the truth, and it's the only thing that logically explains a lot of the differences in society. And it like, oppression and white supremacy just doesn't cut it. It doesn't explain why Asians make more money than whites, and why they consistently make more, and all this other shit. Doesn't explain white supremacy. Doesn't explain that shit. Disprove God. If you can see it, feel it, or smell it, then it doesn't exist. It's enough to prove that. No, that isn't enough to prove that God doesn't exist. Disprove God. If you can see it, feel it, or smell it, then it doesn't exist. No, because can you see or feel or smell stars? We know they exist. Can you see or, like, there's many things we can't see or feel or smell that we know they exist. So that's not proof that God doesn't exist. You can't prove that God doesn't exist. You can't do it. You can't prove that he does exist. Anybody who says that is lying to you. And you can't prove that he doesn't exist. Anybody who says that is also lying to you. You can logically be, assume with a high percentage of certainty that he doesn't exist, but you can't say for a definite fact he doesn't. But I just don't care anymore. I really don't care, because Christians are not my enemies. They're not my enemies. They're not the people that I need to work against. I can worry about debating religion and atheism after I stop getting replaced by a bunch of fucking immigrants. Once that stops happening, then I can start having a debate with Christians and religious people about truth and whatever and whatnot. But at the same fucking time, it's like, what's more important? Should we waste our time debating Christian people, or should we talk about the replacement that is going on in Canada and Western countries and how we're being replaced? Worrying about that is like a red herring. It's something that's just like, it's just a waste of time. It's getting you to waste your time on shit you don't need to waste your time on. while you are being replaced every single day, right? So it's like, waste your time battling Christians who are trying to fight for a small government like you are, and that want freedom of speech like you are, like that want a lot of the same things that you want. So it just makes no sense that for me to start attacking these people. When I had cancer, my cousin calls me and says to me, "We are praying for you." I asked him, "Did you pray for your mom?" He said, "Yes." "Pray for my dad?" He said, "Yes." Right. You know, I'm fine with people praying for me and stuff too. I'm like, thank you. I really appreciate that. That was a very nice gesture by you to pray for me. I'm like, that's a very nice thing to do. The world is run by Satanists. Do you think they would bow down to Satan if this dark force didn't exist? So many people have had experiences with demonic forces. If evil exists, then God exists. Well, you know, like that's, you know, is that evil, or is that human nature? Is that evil that these people are doing? Is that just in all of us? Because if we look at evolution and we look at our history and our past, the human species is a brutal, warlike, barbaric species. Brutal species. And, you know, this type of evil is in all of us, right? It is in all. That's why it's so scary. That's why this rhetoric is so scary that they're doing right now with all this anti-white rhetoric, because it doesn't take much for people just to switch and to go all crazy and start killing people, right? Like seeing something about, I was watching a YouTube video or something today, and it was talking about in the Ottoman, you know, the Armenian genocide, but it was like a bunch of Greeks that got killed too. And a guy was saying that, like, you know, these people, there was his neighbors his whole life, there was his neighbors that he knew. Just when that genocide happened, all of a sudden they're his enemies and they're trying to fucking kill him. So, you know, people can do evil things, and a lot of the times they think they're doing it on behalf of good. And look at environmentalists with atheists and stuff. A lot of atheists support environmentalism, and a lot of the policies that they're promoting are probably going to destroy our economies, kill a bunch of people, steal a bunch of our money. Like, you know, these types of things that they want too, that aren't really based in fact either, is going to kill and destroy a lot of lives, probably a lot more than Christianity ever fucking could. You will shun your old original fans. Yeah, oh yeah. If I ever get 1 million, everybody here is going to be shunned, and I'm not going to talk to any of them ever again if I ever reach 1 million. 1 million, you know, that's all you bastards are gone. No, I'm kidding. Oh, see you later, Kelly. Have a good night. I'm off to figure out my newest tech issue. Oh, hopefully you resolve that. Thank you for joining us, Kelly. Hitler mustache, AJ. Yeah, I know I should. Hitler mustache. Feels so good to be white. You know, I don't like, personally, I don't take pride in like being white or anything like that. Or I don't like, but that triggers liberals just saying that, right? It's okay to be white, and they'll be like writing papers about it saying, "Oh my God, there's white supremacists everywhere." Well, I'm not an agnostic. See, people think that I'm an agnostic atheist. So I'm an agnostic atheist. What about Indianapolis? Sky, I liked when Randy and Mr. Leahy were role playing as Bumblebee and Beecatcher. Oh yeah, fucking. I gotta rewatch those. They're pretty good. But you know, I think it's coming up at about the 3-hour mark here. Been doing this stream for a little while now. I think probably gonna end her about real soon. White pride, even if you're not all white, be proud of what you got. Yeah, exactly, right? You know, be proud of whatever you are. Honestly, be proud of whatever you are. If you're mixed, if you're white, if you're brown, if you're Asian, like, Don't, you are you. You are you. You can never change what you are. You can never be like, oh, I'm, see some of these people that are like alt right and they're like, I'm like, oh no, I'm like 10% black, or it's like, that's fine, man. That's good. Like you are you. You are you. You are what you are. Don't be ashamed of it. I had a bad mushroom trip when I was 19. In that trip, I thought I was dead and passed into the afterlife. I was just darkness, nothingness. Yeah, mushroom trips. I've had a couple bad mushroom trips, definitely, but I have some really good ones as well. Yeah, just be proud of who you are. Don't, everybody should be proud of who they are. Aboriginal people should be proud of who they are, their history, Native, Black, Asian, white. Everybody should be proud. Just white people should not be demonized if they want to have any type of pride in their history in Western civilization and Western culture. Most of us are mutts. Relax. Yeah, exactly, right? Most of us are mutts if you really go back far enough. And like I'm probably like French plus with like Scottish or Irish or something like that. I don't know, but I'm not saying go mix race and all that stuff. I'm not saying promote it, but I'm just saying that, it's good to just be comfortable with who you are, not to like worry so much. And when it comes to large groups of people, this is when group differences kind of play a role. But when it does come to individuals, you are an individual. You are you. You are not necessarily your race. Like you are your brain. You're your brain, and your experiences and your thoughts and your opinions, and finding out that you're now half Irish is never going to change anything about you. Essentially, you're always going to be who you are, and you're always going to have that same potential that you've always had, regardless of what you are. So I think people, focus too much on that, but at the same time, I don't want to be replaced. I'm not saying go, oh, everybody do this and that, but I think people are, don't have false pride either. You know what I mean? It's not good to have false pride in something that really we're only born with, but it's good to I think have pride in your ancestors and the people that have worked hard for you, and to have pride in them and stuff. But just basically on your race, on being white, I don't want to do that too much. And because I we all have different histories, white people, like I'm not gonna, I don't take ownership of like the Vikings history, right, or the Germans history, because it has nothing to do with me. The history of France and Canada and maybe parts of Scotland or Ireland or something like that, I think, I'm not sure, has something to do with me and my history, my culture and stuff. But at the same time, we do have connection, Western civilization. It's complicated, right? But one last question. Do you believe in the afterlife? Well, no, I'm an atheist. So I don't believe in any of that stuff. Like I believe, I don't know. I don't know what's out there. I have no reason to believe there is an afterlife. I have no reason to believe there is a God. I have no reason to believe any of that stuff. But if there is, then there is, if there isn't, then there isn't. I'll find out when I'm dead. Right. But no, I don't believe, but like, yeah, I'm an atheist, right? I'm Scottish Canadian. Right. Yeah. I think, I can't remember it because, my last name has something to do with, it has like a "der" in front of it, but that was like added, but originally it was like Corby. So maybe that has relation, like Corby relation to like Ireland or Scotland or something like that. But I think they moved to France and lived there for a couple hundred years, or I don't know, something like that. But I know one of my ancestors, one of my relatives, wrote this whole book about our ancestry. Like there's like a thick book, and it details like almost 500 to 600 years back, like where like this side of the family came from. So I got to find that, and I want to read through it and figure more of it out, because it is cool to look at your ancestry. It is, you do feel pride. You do, like, yes, like that is awesome. You know, you do feel like, you know, there, you should feel pride and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? It's just, always have more pride in your own achievements as opposed to those of others. But you shouldn't be demonized for caring and liking your history and wanting to value it and like be prideful of it, you know, just like everybody else is told to do. I am Canadian, but past couple years tired. Yeah, right. You know, it's like, yeah, exactly. We're all Canadian at the end of the day, right? And now we have a shared culture, a shared history of our ancestors all coming to Canada and helping to make Canada into the country it is today. And now I don't have allegiance with people from France, right? I have allegiance to Canadians. I don't care about people from France anymore. It's like those people are fucked. They fuck themselves. And, you know, my group of people were the people that left that place and made it to Canada and are living here now, are now Canadians. Thank you for joining me, Jon Snow. Thank you for all the questions too. I appreciate all the, you know, thoughtful questions and stuff you do have. My clan was the Polak clan. The Polacks. My direct descendant was James Polk. Yeah, right. You know, I direct descendant of Marianne Gaboury. You know, so she's like one of the first French people. And then her husband was like a trapper for the Hudson Bay and the other company. Like he was like a famous trapper and shit. And on my other parents' side, you know, it came here hundreds of years ago. Yeah, 500 years. You know, I would like the ability to live to that long, but then maybe be able to like, be like, I don't want to live anymore. Well, I guess you could always just kill yourself, but then, you know, that's kind of shitty. You don't want to kill yourself. But, you know, maybe after 300 years, it'd be like, I've had enough. Voltron, not the way. 1949 in Canada. Yeah, you know, it's like, that's why I don't like people kind of like comparing our ancestors to the people that are coming into Canada right now, the people that have been here for hundreds of years, that came here when there was no social services, when there was no roads, where people had to like brave the wilderness and build their homes from absolutely nothing. Like, people don't understand, there was absolutely nothing here. When we came, there was nothing here. Thank you, Happy Fox, man. I appreciate that. Muslims out. You're a direct descendant of Johnny Weissmuller's cheetah. Weissmuller's? Is that German? You're a voyageur. Yeah, right? Yeah, my ancestor was a fucking trapper. I forget his name is Jacques Calt or something. Not Jacques Calt, but he was one. He was in the history books and shit. But you know, and like Marianne Gaboury, yeah, one of the first white women, Western women, to come into the west of Canada. But then they're like, oh, there's actually this other woman that pretended to be a man that was here first, and blah blah blah, whatever. But then her grandson was Louis Riel. I'm not related to Louis Riel. I'm just related to, like, we have the same like grandmother type thing, right? But like, once again, see, that's what I'm saying. The history of Canada is complex. So yeah, my ancestors came here. A lot of them were French, and they fucking married with some of the fucking or some native people and shit. Intermarried, made a bunch of Métis people. Like, a lot of fucking my descendants came, and like some of their lines went and helped make the Métis people. Literally, and then, oh, you're all the same, all white people, all bad. You're all English. You're all the British, you know. And you're like, well, no, but yeah, the French people have done terrible things to other places and whatever. But I'm just saying, we're not all exactly the same, right? We all have different histories. Yeah, you have Sir John A. Macdonald. There we go. Yeah, well, you know what? He killed Louis Riel, so fuck you, Justin Hutchings. Fuck you for killing my great grandmother's grandson. That's what you get. You know, this bullshit. Fuck you. Delete. Purge him from my channel. Gator, purge him. Purge him from my channel. His ancestors fuck with mine. But the funny thing is the ancestor on my dad's side had a residential school and like was running a residential school. And he wrote a letter to Sir John A. Macdonald too. I found a letter where he wrote, and he's like, yeah, they're all dying. Like, you know, they're all dying of fucking tuberculosis and shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's my grandfather was like Jules de Corbie, like Jules de Corbie. And then like, yeah, my mom's side, like it says Marianne Gaboury. So like he was like a pastor or something that came here and started a little town in Saint Lazare, the town that I came from, literally. Like, you know, you see his face around and shit. And then like, you know, yeah, he wrote a letter to Sir John A. Macdonald too. But then at the same time, on my mom's side, the grandson of the person I'm a direct descendant of, Marianne Gaboury, Sir John A. Macdonald sent people to go kill him. This is kind of just funny, right? It's funny. I'm like, how things work out. Indigenous privilege exists. Changed my mind. No, it definitely does exist. I agree with you. The only people that have privilege in my mind a lot of the times is people of color who can say and do whatever the hell they want. You know, it's only white people that can't say whatever they want. I've got my black executioner's hood on. No, yeah, don't remove him. I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm gonna remember that. And I'm going to remember, you know, see, old wounds don't heal. Old wounds never heal. Justin Hutchins, just a matter of time before the Métis people rise up and you fucking get your due. I'm Irish Jew. Get out of here then. You're a Jew. Get out of here. No. I come from a large line of Templars. My great-grandfather helped engineer Saskatchewan. We built a town called Pollockville. Crazy history, brother. Oh, man. Time for a bong, AJ. Ever since I heard AJ say hoser, I've been using that word every chance I get. Hoser this, hoser that. I don't even say it. I just repeated it because somebody else said it. We should refer to ourselves as honkies. It worked for the blacks. Yeah, right. Guard dog, gator hog. Yeah, watch out. Watch out. Gators on the prowl. I'm also an Irish Jew, and I'm German and some English. Right. You know, analytical chick. But yeah, since you guys are Jews, you gotta leave. You gotta leave the channel. No, you know, I don't want you're tampering in my shit here. I'm kidding. I'm joking. But take off. You go. There we go. You know what I mean? Like that's a little bit of everything. You know, we're all mutts to some extent. You know, I thought I was like all French for a long time, and then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, Irish or no, Irish, no. I'm kidding. I was like, I'm making someone a banner and listening to you. Nice. I'm not a Jew. I'm an Irish French honky. AJ, you need to start a Canadian version of Wayne's World. I'd like to be the Dana Carvett character. Right. That would be good. We're all Canadian. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's my people now. It's Canada. It's people. It's Canadian people. And it really, if you've been here for a couple generations and stuff, even if it doesn't matter what race you are and culture and stuff, like you're Canadian now. And you know but that still doesn't mean I want to be a minority, because people are tribalistic, and we got to also take that into consideration and be like, okay, yeah, the people that are here are Canadian now, but doesn't mean we need to keep immigration open and keep bringing people in so white people, Western people get replaced, right? So You know, there's nuance, right? It's like, yeah, you know, but I still don't want to be replaced. Now I've seen everything. Canadian pride, what the fuck? Yeah, we got I'm not mixed. You know, you've seen everything Canadian pride, right? Yeah, exactly. You know, I hope more Canadians start having pride in their country instead of like just opening it up to the world to come and you know, pillage essentially. We don't want to be under Sharia law. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be under Sharia law. I don't want what's going on in BC with the housing market, with the Asian triads going on all over the fucking country. And, you know, the fact that people are not homogenous is, it makes them more likely to take advantage of each other because they're like, well, he's not like me. I don't care. And it's just the way people think. We need to understand this. And there's going to be less theft and stealing from people if we are more homogenous. And that's not even me wanting to be more homogenous. It's not like I'm like, oh, fuck, I just hate these brown people everywhere. And like, I like diversity in a sense. Like, I like seeing people of different race. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I have no problem with that in a sense, right? Like, I don't have a problem with people and that of different races and being around them and anything like that. But, you know, I know how politics works. I know how governments work. I know how the power structure works. And I don't want to leave that in the hands of a multicultural society that are all human beings that are prone to tribalism. You know, it's this is basic reality. So it's just better to be more homogenous because then people are going to be less willing to fight about these racial differences and more willing to focus on things that actually matter instead of worrying about like, well, is everybody completely equal? You know, well, we're not equal yet, so we need to do this. We need to redistribute more wealth, yada, yada, yada. I'm in BC, housing rents through the roof, highest gas prices, right? You know, and it's all the people that came here and made this country what it was are now getting fucked. They're getting fucked. Germans are evil. Oh, there's BM. Germans are evil. I stream with a lot of other YouTubers, actually invite and take invitations. Yeah, you know, we should have a stream, definitely Analytical Chick. I think I watched one of your streams the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago. In BC, people are moving out of houses into cars. Yeah, you know, look on YouTube. There's like a huge bunch of people that are now like, shit, who hates you, or another YouTube host who hates you. No. Okay, back on now. Okay, well, okay, I'll wait a little bit. Talk about your mixed race girlfriend or another YouTube host who hates you. I don't know. Who hates me? I don't know anybody who hates me. Night Faye, have a great night. Take it easy, Justin. I'll remember what your ancestors did to my ancestors. Yeah, I thought it was just me. Have a good night. Love a ball. LA Fant. Good stream. It's been great. Oh, thank you, old white guy. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm going to pack a big bowl after this lengthy stream. That's for sure. My ex-wife hates me. Night Faye. Old white guy. I appreciate that gruff, insensitive humor. Yeah, man. Go watch Old White Guy's videos. If you have not, go to Old White Guy's channel. Subscribe to him and check out his videos. That's for sure. I watch like all his content. Yeah, I'm pretty nice for a racist. Thank you, BM. I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. You know, that makes me happy. Leda, old white, be watching. Level white guy. Oh, thank you, Happy Fox. Thank you, Mother. I'm a white Jew. Well, that's okay, man. You're welcome here as long as you're Canadian. If you're not Canadian, you need to go. You need to go like a hoe. No, I'm kidding. You can stay because I want as many viewers as I can get. As many viewers. Old white guy, what do you know about? Okay, yeah. I gotta go. I'm gonna stay on forever then. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope you all had a great night, and hopefully you join me again for the next time. Take it easy, guys. Yeah, you gotta go, analytical chick. See you guys later.